With the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, number 2, open public forum. Anybody that's not on the agenda that wishes to speak? Otherwise, we'll move on to number 3, approval of the agenda. I need a motion for that. Oh. Shannon makes a motion. Franny seconds it?
Yeah.
Is there any discussion on it? Otherwise, we got to do a roll call. Gary?
Yes.
Shannon?
Yes.
Fran?
Yes.
Doug?
You're muted, Doug.
You're muted.
Yes.
Yes, okay, and I'm a yes, motion carries. Consent agenda, recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion, how about a second?
I'll second it.
Doug seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, Gary,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, motion carries. Before we go too far, welcome Fran Ramler on the council.
Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you.
friend.
Thank you.
All right,
Can I say one thing?
yes, go ahead.
So everyone who's on here wondering, we had a special meeting on Wednesday, and that was where the mayor and Councilmember Schmidt and Councilmember Rambler took their oaths. So that's why there's no oath on the agenda.
Okay. Number 5, interview of construction management firms. First up, Donlar Construction.
All right, I gotta get over there and share my screen. Those of you that are on, I'm gonna share the screen so you can see their presentation. And you wanted it.
Presentation mode.
Let's go straight up and left.
in design though.
It's on the way top, even above that. If you go to the left on the top.
We walked through it a little bit, but it didn't work. Oh, okay. So there you go. There's the screen and here's the mouse.
Click to advance it.
Yep, just with the bullet. Scroll down. There you go. Go to previous.
I go to
Up, there you go. Hey,
There we go. Are we ready?
Yes, I believe so. Introductions and then you can go.
Wonderful. Good evening, and thank you all for inviting Donlar Construction to this interview. We are very excited to be here and about your project. We want to be part of your construction team. My name is Gary Trout, I'm Vice President of the Donlar Construction. I office out of the Wayne Park office. My role in this project will be project executive, and I'll oversee every aspect of this job, from the pre-construction to construction to closeout. I've got 40 years of experience in the construction industry. I started as an engineering firm. I worked for a subcontractor for many years, and I've been at Donlar Construction for over 15 years now and serve as their vice president. So with that, I'll turn it over.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bob Patterson. I'll be the senior project manager for this project. As of this coming March, I'll have 9 years in with Donlar Construction. Prior to that, I retired out of the active duty. I was with the United States Army Corps of Engineers for 24 plus years. And then moved back here to central Minnesota and took on a job with Donlar Construction to keep up. Because that's what I've been doing there in the military too. Military construction. So, and
Hey, my name is Brandon Donovan. I will be the project manager on this project. I'm started with Donlar 7 years ago. I was attending St. Cloud State, and I've been here ever since.
continue to grow throughout the years. I'll pass it on to Mark.
Mark McClintock, I will be the superintendent on this job. I've been with Downline now for 10 years, over 5 years in the field, and just a little under that for foreman and superintendent.
A little history about Donlar Construction. The company was started in 1972. We got 40 years of experience. We office out of 2 locations, one in White Park, one in Shoreview. This crew, the entire crew comes out of our White Park office. 90% of our field crew comes from central Minnesota. We have 27 office employees, and our field staff runs anywhere between 45 and 100 or 100 plus, depends on our workloads. 21 of our employees live within the Cold Spring area and are residents here in town. One of your own, Cassidy Digman, works for us, who is one of our lead concrete polishing superintendents, and also serves on the city fire department. Why select Donlar Construction? As you're going to see in our presentation, we're going to go through our project experience. We're going to emphasize the strong project controls, the quality of our work, and the strong safety culture. The little project or the picture down below, that's the police headquarters. We did the major concrete portion of that. It was $4.9 million, and most of you know where this project is. It's St. Cloud Police Headquarters in St. Cloud, Minnesota. We were very involved as a subcontractor on that project. Very successful project for us. Related project experiences. We went through and looked at some of our experiences from a CMA to a CMR. We've identified some of the major ones here, the big ticket items. As you can see, St. Michael, Elberfeld, Owatonna, we were the construction managers as agency on. There's several of those listed. We could go on for a lot of these, but we wanted the bullet, hit the highlight ones. Some of these, particularly Herb Brooks National Hockey Center. Most of you know where that is, down in St. Cloud State. Bob and I were very, very involved with that from ground up to close out, as well as the Rivers Edge parking ramp. Brandon and I worked on the Meadow Park Assistant Living up in Long Prairie, just to give you an example of a few projects that this team has worked on. This slide relates to the fire, police, and public safety of what we are involved with over the last several years. Metro Transit Police Facility, Brandon's going to talk a little bit more about that project later on. It was a very, very extensive project that we did in downtown Minneapolis. Brandon was the project manager on that. And you can see that the list of here goes on and on and on. We've got about $176 million of work that we've done over the past several years as related to fire, police, and public buildings.
So the pre-construction services, pre-construction phase, I'll be heavily involved with that as the senior project manager. I'll be involved throughout the project from cradle to grave, but I'll do the front end specs, the division 0001, the front end specs. We'll also work and review all the technical specs, the divisions 2 through 30, where you got plumbers and mechanical. I've had many of those projects on the previous slides to the CMA, CMR. I was a project manager, senior project manager. I do a lot of the front end stuff, all that development. There's so many items that we could cover in the pre-construction services. We just don't have enough time. They know I could talk, and take the entire period just on this alone, but we'll keep it short. I just wanted to mention that probably the most important item is your cost estimate. We start out right away with a schematic design, and we'll do an estimate right then and there. And that's called our baseline estimate for the cost model. And that's to see where we use square foot and our computer programs, and we'll figure out exactly what the drawing is and what it'll cost at that point. From there, we can determine if we have to do additional value engineering, value enhancement to try to find different cost methods. Value enhancement does not cheapen the product. It just finds a different means to do it. We'll look at all the different systems, construction systems in the construction documents, determining, making sure that it's the best fit, the best system, the best product, gives you the best life experience and the best quality for the budget that you have. Sometime between the 50 and 90% of the construction document phase, we'll put together that final estimate, which will show when it goes out to bid, how close it'll be. And there's, in the handout, we have a chart that shows our accuracy. We're very, very close. We come within, 0.5 to 1% on our estimates, and that's in the presentation, in the written portion. Some of these projects are just ones that currently working on. A big one down on the lower right, that's Turtle Mountain and the Chippewa in North Dakota, actually doing the entire site selection, all the environmental assessments, the entire design operations up front. We're acting as a project management service agent. It's not a CMA or Cmar. Next slide, please. Construction phase is the second phase you had discussed, and that's the key one, from the first shovel in the ground to the closeout, all the way through the 11-month warranty. Once the job is done, we don't just walk away, especially being local neighbors and responsible contractors. We're here, we're always around, ready to help out with anything after the project is completed also. Two of those projects up there I was the project manager on. One is at St. Ben's. It's adding the new welcome center for incoming freshmen or prospective students. And it also took 3 of the older buildings. One of them was the 100-year-old butcher shop and the old stables. We converted those into offices and made a big connection to their woodworking shop. So now all their central offices are located right there where the main brand new students come in. The other one, to the right, is the Red Lake Government Center. That happens to be 250 feet long, fiberglass eagle wing. Its twin sister, which will show up in another slide, is over 350 feet. It's the largest eagle, it's the largest animal mounted to a structure. And that's up in Red Lake, Minnesota. That was a very successful project. But during the construction phase, I will be involved with Brandon and Mark. I will make the meetings. I am there for a seasoned, gray-haired observation and quality control inspection. Brandon and Mark run the day-to-day. They're much more computerized, proficient, and faster than I am about that stuff that goes on. I still use the abacus. So I assist them. I help them out, but they know what they're doing, and it's just a third set of eyes, and then when Gary and other people walk by, it's a fourth, fifth set of eyes. Really, on there, everything is covered in our write-up very well, very thoroughly. We do a great job on safety. I want to mention that. We can't overstress that. We have Radium, our rating. We have a great safety plan, and Mark will discuss that in detail as Brandon will talk further on. Next slide, also, please. These are the key points that Brandon and Mark will talk about. That's a Wildland Firefighting Center up in Red Lake that we successfully built. Mark and I were on that one together. And I've been involved with a lot of wildland firefighting. Nick, or NIFC from the National Interagency Firefighting Center in Idaho, I set that up. Did the agreement, the resolution between the federal government, the military, and then the different states. So they knew how to get and draw upon federal resources to help fight fires. So that was a very exciting one. We had the helipad, the flight path. We had to take all that extra stuff into consideration too, because they did use buckets on their choppers. But I'll leave Mark and Brandon will discuss the key items.
For cost management, we'll be doing a monthly budget review to take a look at the current change order log and looking at the contingency with what's been spent to date, what's remaining, and any potential items we see coming. I'll also be in touch with Mark on any potential changes and chatting through with him, and we will review any cost in depth. And if needed, we will actually do an estimate ourselves and try to make sure that we feel the costs are justified before we send them along, not just blindly pass them along. And if we need to go further from there, we'll set up a meeting on site to review with the project team. The project on the screen, Metro Transit Police Department, we had over 100 change orders on that project due to the owner having additional funding in their budget. So we ended up meeting almost weekly to go through these changes to try to work through it. One example is on the top right. They're drilling geothermal wells in there. And we ended up taking a look at what was going on with the project site. On the bottom left end, they have 150 buses come out of there twice a day at 6:30 and at 3:30. So we had to work around that schedule, and they had geothermal wells in the middle of that. So we worked together as a team to go with deeper and bigger size wells. So we were able to eliminate it or bring it down from 118 wells to 35 only, but they went down 500 feet. All said and done, we put in roughly 19,000 feet of pipe into the ground for this system. But that was a huge savings for the owner's end, and then it was a no cost change to the project, but it just saved with the coordination with the owner and working through that major problem. This information management, we use Viewpoint Team, which is also called Viewpoint One, depending on they're going through a transition phase. But it's a cloud-based project management software that will have all the submittals on it, RFIs, ASIs, PRs, and any project documents that everybody has access to, regardless whether they're the owner or down to lower tier subs. We'll be tracking all the submittals through there that will have dates, and everybody's able to see where it's at in a step, so it doesn't get lost in somebody's email. As well as PlanGrid is another cloud-based software that we use our plans on. The advantage of this is we get to view the plans on the site, and everybody has access to this as well. But the nice part from the construction end is you can view it and see a detail. You click on it, jumps you right to it. And this will have the most recent set of plans on it always. If you're viewing an old set, you get a big red arrow saying, what are you doing? And you're able to correct it, but you're also able to see any changes and keep moving on and overlay sheets. It's a pretty good software, and I'm very well versed, so I'm always willing to show people how it works. It took me a while. So communication, typically always flow through me and Mark as well. The advantage to this is we are only 10 minutes up the road. So if there's truly an issue, rather than have emails go back and forth or 15 phone calls, we can just go, I'll just go to the job site and we can walk it and review it. Sometimes it seems like the face-to-face meetings, we get a lot more done than sitting behind a keyboard. So, and then obviously if we have an issue, we'll follow up with a formal RFI or request for information on team to follow up with this. And we'll discuss this as well at the weekly site meetings, where we'll kind of go through an open list of items and keep working on what we currently are tracking on the project. We'll go to the next slide. Schedule management is another big item for us. Initially, we'll do a front-end schedule that'll be issued with the bid to help contractors try to get an idea for their manpower when this project is going and how it's tracking. And then after the bid day, we'll actually go through a duration review as we do the scope reviews with the subcontractors, just to make sure we're all on the same page and we don't have anything that's crazy and off. And then from there, we also discuss a submittal schedule is for their long lead time items that'll help us keep our overall schedule. An example, kind of what we did with this project was the ski chalet. We had to get it done prior to the ski season, but the owner had additional funds on this. So we redid the entire site work of the building, putting a new parking lot, a new entryway. And we were able to work through this stuff up front and keep on schedule. So we opened up prior to the ski season. Another thing we'll be doing is updating the schedule monthly with each pay app when we turn that in. That's in addition to doing a weekly look ahead schedule, which Mark will be able to tell you a little bit more about.
So then I will be, we'll have putting together 4-week schedules for everyone to see for our weekly meetings, along with a more detailed weekly schedule for more getting together with foremen on the other trades, just keeping everybody in sync, and then also just kind of closely monitoring day to day, making sure that we're still on schedule. And with every job, you're gonna tend to run into snags. This is how you deal with them. Currently, right now, I'm working on Hennepin County Government Center. So everyone's aware of what's been going on down there. So protests and riots. So, but we've still been able to push that schedule along even with all of our hiccups down there. And I mean, we've been doing a full plumbing remodel, bathroom models down there. And we've been still having to get bathrooms back online for judges in the time of matter. And we've been doing that. We are still projected to come in on schedule. So with this team here, I mean, we've got the knowledge and the willpower just to make sure that everything stays on schedule and keep on track here. So excited. Quality assurance. I mean, with this, it's just going to be, I'm more like kind of a boots on the ground kind of a soup. I mean, I'll be in the trailer doing my paperwork, but then from there, I'm more of a hands-on, watching the site, on the site at all times. Just making sure that everything is up to our standard. And here at Dunlar, from when I was working, I mean, this has always been a high standard. And with my work and with everybody here, we uphold that same standard. And, we just have to be more or less kind of keeping track too with everything built per spec. And we got to go through our submittals and make sure that the trades are got the correct things on site per spec. Just be constant monitoring of that. I'll be in great involvement with the testing coordination, just making sure that everything is, we've got testers there for what concrete, just all those things. So it'll just be a real hands-on deck. But with our experience here and my experience in the field, we know what we're looking for and what we expect out of people. And this picture here is the Red Lake, the NEMA fire hall that Bob was really involved in as well. So, and then as Bob stated earlier, safety is a big priority for Dunlar. We have 2,314 accident-free days, which equates to 1.3 million working hours accident-free. We take great pride in that, and we hold everybody to, everybody's really accountable, and we make sure that we maintain that safety record that we have going. One thing that we require with Dunlar is site-specific safety orientation. Every person that comes on site is required to go through an orientation, and then they have to show that they went through our orientation, give them a sticker, and no one's allowed on site without our sticker. So we just make sure that everyone's aware of our safety standards on site, how we've been doing along with daily walkthroughs. And then we also do weekly safety checklists throughout the week and the day, just making sure that anything that is seen by me is noted, documented, and then passed along to the foreman first, and then if it has to go forward, it will. And one thing we really like to take full advantage of is OSHA safety consultations. We can actually bring a consultant on site, they walk with us, and then they point out any issues that they see, and that way we can correct them without having an OSHA violation. And that just keeps everything up to standard and making sure that we don't have an OSHA violation to deal with later. And then like that right there was a project I was heavily involved with, the New Hope Pool. And just, we were really fortunate with that one because that was the summer we built, that was when we got all that rain. So dealing with the deep holes and everything, we were able to keep a real safe site. No one got injured. And yeah, it was a real successful project for us. Next time.
I guess we come back to why select Dunlar Construction. Showing you some good examples of our related project experiences, our control, quality, and then safety. We've shown some of this, how it relates to our project experience. Now let us prove to you what we can deliver. We'd like to complete your project with the strong project controls, quality of work, and safety. Dunlar is more than a construction manager. We are also a constructor. So we understand the methods, we understand the trades, we understand what happens, even though acting as a CMA, got great experience. And as Mark says, we're boots on the ground. We strive to work and promote local subcontractors and suppliers to be involved with our projects. And in fact, we take safety so serious that we have our safety officer and our general superintendent that lives right across the street, Scott Books. So he'll be monitoring us 24/7. So he'll keep us safe. I can guarantee you that. So with that, we're going to open it up for questions that we can answer, or anything that the council may have.
We do have a list of questions. I don't know if the council wants to, do you want to go through those or do you have your own questions or? Does Doug have?
Yeah.
Set? Okay.
You know,
I have them here.
Do you want to go through that? Do you want us to go through that, Doug, or do you have questions yourself?
I have no preference either way. I don't have any other questions new to what's on the list, but however the council wants to move forward is fine with me.
You just click escape and go out of full screen.
What do you guys want to do?
I would like to do all, because we have three,
Yeah,
and so we can, the same, and add up, but I would
Okay.
also like additional.
Yeah. absolutely. We can do that after we're done. If you guys want to do that, go through this and then if anybody has any questions after that. Do you want to switch off reading them or do you want me to read them or?
It's up to you, Mr. Mayor, to me.
Or does Bridget want to read them or you want me to read them?
If you would, however you would like to do it, your honor. Mayor.
I will just, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I
Ben.
just, I just want to clear something up because I'm new in this kind of stuff. Can CMA, CMA-R, CMAR, those are acronyms, right? And what do they mean?
So the CM, construction management as advisor, that is the CMA. And there's a construction management as constructor, and it's often referred to as the CMAR, construction manager at risk. So the CMA is the owner holds the contracts with the subcontractors. With the CM at risk, the construction manager holds the contracts and assumes all the risk.
That's
So
what we were kind of talking about that, okay. Because I was just getting into it and I just wanted some clarification.
what you normally-
Because I think what we were talking about was, is the city going to be, that's what we were talking about, take all or some responsibility or
Yeah,
let the construction people take.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
okay.
that's something that we'll have to discuss once we get this figured out, but yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Then that's,
That's answered then.
that should take care of me, so.
You want to start?
You want me to read it?
Sure.
Did you complete your previous CMA projects on time and under budget? And if not, what was the major cause of delay or added expense? And if you have those, what changes have you implemented in your practices as a result of that project to avoid this happening in the future? It's pretty long, 3-part.
I can speak for a couple of my projects that did go over budget, but they were always owner initiated. So I work a lot of the tribal projects and they get grants from USDA or BIA. That's a specific amount. Then the owner can go in and add, say they have extra funds or whatever, however they want to disperse. And they have a wish list and we go through and I help the owner track that. It's not truly a contingency because it's not in the government's contract, but it's a pot of money that they will always go over. And that's been typically what I have experienced. And the same thing Brandon and I had Metro Transit. The owner was able to keep getting more money because the architect and owner kept a large contingency, not knowing unknowns or any unforeseen items underground. They had a large contingency, and then the contract was set up for 16 million, but they actually ended up at 18 because they have over 2 million worth of change orders. So those are the only times that I know of in my projects where they've gone over. And sometimes the duration has extended because as you add labor and cost, so it does add some time too. Anyone else have-
All right. This next one is basically the same on CMARs. If they, where it's your risk and what have you done? Has there been a major cause of delay that's for an increase in budget? And then if you've changed your practices to address those as well and avoid it from happening in the future.
From my experience in the jobs that I have run, I have never had a problem with the budget. As Bob mentioned, generally when you go with a CMR, you have a contingency that is a designated money that's determined up front between the owner, architect, and the design team that goes to the unforeseens or the what ifs. We've had several of our projects where we've never used up the contingency and the owner has added value. For instance, the parking ramp downtown, Bob and I worked on. At the end of that job, there was a grant given to the city of St. Cloud for X amount of dollars. And when we got done with it, we had to spend that money and we were able to give them a really nice monument on the end that Abe Lincoln now sits on, that Bob worked very closely with the architect to help enhance the project and not overspend. So generally we're on the other end of it where we're allowing them to do additional things on their projects.
And on page 22, we give a list of some of our estimates and also has the contract amount. And some of those projects, the final cost is less.
Yeah.
Like private owners like St. Ben's, one of my projects, we did significant savings. We gave them back the entire contingency plus additional other value engineering during the project. So the final cost is less than the actual contract.
Okay.
In the CMA model, after bids are gathered and the construction starts, what role do you play in assisting the city with maintaining the timeliness and budget?
I'd like to start with that. I personally don't treat the CMA and the CM at risk differently. I have everything prepared and do everything. Not that I'm set in my ways, but it's consistent. I'll prepare everything. The only thing I don't do on the CMA is you sign the checks, you sign the contract. I will have everything prepared. We'll do the scope reviews. We'll do all the contracts up front. We do everything. There is no difference other than who signs the checks or the contract.
Do you have a preference as to what to do or not?
Personally, business-wise, we will do whatever the city feels best. And I believe it is up for a good discussion. The biggest advantage of a construction management at risk is that we can control subcontractors. We assume the risk. That's why the fee is slightly higher. So the biggest advantage of the CMA is the fee is lower because we have no risk. But we as the CM at risk can actually force that sub to do stuff. And if the sub fails, defaults, goes under, you don't have to go through the open bid process. We're able to either do the work ourselves or we can hire somebody to do that. You can't do the self-performed work in a CMA. So we can help expedite it and not delay the project. There's a lot of pluses and minuses to each, and it depends on how comfortable the city is and where they're looking.
I think you talked about this, but how much interaction and reporting out to the city is there when you're in the CMAR model?
Up front, again, I treat, you're gonna get sick of it. I have to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music for the budgets in the pre-construction. During the construction phase, they're here constantly. There is no difference. You will have a team of 3 always there, and then a 4th comes by and spot checks up. You know, that's scary when talking about the 4th spot check. So you'll have a team of 3, 100% on site, 1 always back and forth on the site, and then me with all the issues and coming out periodically too, because I spot check them.
We're looking at a USDA loan for this for paying for this project, and does that change the model of delivery your firm would prefer, and why?
Could you repeat the question, please?
We're doing a USDA rural development loan
Mhm.
to fund the project, and so I'm wondering if that changes which model of delivery for your firm and why.
From my perspective, it wouldn't change the delivery either way. Whether the money is funnels through the city, comes through us, either way, depends which model. You're gonna write either one check or you're gonna write 15 or 20 checks for that month. So it makes no difference on our end of it.
If you were selected, do you have an approximate time where you think you could start so we get the contracts all set and done, and then how long it would take each step of each project, if you understand where we're at right now with design? We're pretty much done with pre-design. So
So your conceptual is done. So we're ready. when we
we're very close, I would say, right?
So we go through conceptual and then schematic and then design development and then construction documents. So there's 4 phases of the drawings. With this type CMA, CMA risk, we typically come on board at the SDs and we'll, sometimes the SDs are done, or nearly done, sometimes they haven't even started. So we'll come in and it takes about a month for each one of those SDs and DDs. It takes us a week to do an estimate because the takeoff is by unit. It's how many square feet, how many linear feet, how many cabinets, footage, flooring. It's a complete takeoff. It's a detailed estimate. And that typically takes us up to a week to do. The drawings will take a couple of weeks, at least 3 to 4 weeks, and then probably from the ED to CD will take a little bit longer, 6 weeks. But that also will have some of the spec writing and upfront documents. So it will take you, if we start right away, we could be contracted by this Friday. We'd be able to sit down and meet with everyone next week and be able to continue on and get our first estimate. If the SDs are done, if they're not, we'll wait a couple of weeks, we'll do our value engineering or look through the documents that are there, what is the design so far. But it's going to be 3 months worth of design yet, and then 10 months for the construction. It still could change. We're not sure. I'm assuming that it's working steel. Mortar type of construction, like pre-engineered level, but I don't know.
We're not sure yet. How much input, if any, does the city have regarding some contractor selection in either CMA or Cmar or
Did you say contractors?
subcontractor selection?
We get you have to pre-approve our list. So we do multiple things. We send it out on the building exchange. We put in a qualifier in there that they have to, if the owner gets to pre-approve. I'm assuming that this will be tax exempt.
I believe so.
So then you're having a labor contract and a material exempt contract. So you're gonna have 2 contracts of each subcontractor.
Mhm.
They have to be able to track tax exempt material separately. It's, I guess it's, it seems easy, but it always is a challenge. I'm sure Gary had.
As far as what contracting with the tax exempt or subcontractors, tax exempt is, like Bob said, it's a little extra work. However, we do rely very, very heavily on the council and relationships to subcontractors, suppliers. We may have a relationship or not a relationship. You may have someone that's done all your work forever. We can also indicate or put into the spec that the owner has the right to take any bidder that he wants, irregardless of where they are. It doesn't have to be a low bid, but that's something that can be negotiated. Typically, public information, public bids. It's got to go out for public submittals. So you better have a really good reason of not to take low, or we're into another situation where we don't want to go. So, but if we vet out and we can clearly say that the person's not, or contractor's not complete, we have a right to go to the next one to make sure that we have a complete scope that's gonna match the spec, not that we get involved and then we find out we get, you know, some huge cost implications that we're not aware of. So we definitely work with the owner and the design team. We'll pull the architect in too, and the engineers to say, you know, we need input. So we work it as a team.
We can do a pre-qualification requirement too without subs. And that's why I was just wondering with the tax exempt contracts and the issue where you have different subs go, but you can put a statement in the contract. It would all go through the city legal to make sure that he's okay with the verbiage, but things can be inserted into the contract.
All right. In your experience, how often do you utilize local subcontractors and material suppliers in these types of projects? And is there a difference under the CMA model versus the Cmar model for attracting good bids from local resources?
I would say from the CMR to the CMA, there's no difference. We're going to treat them all the same. It doesn't matter if we're paying them or the owner's paying them. And like you said, we look at them. We promote, no matter if we're in Cold Spring or we're in Red Lake, we promote local subs, local suppliers, local repair shops, because we're in your community for an extended period. And even as far as the restaurants and stuff, to, you know, crews go out and have lunch there, and let's keep it within the community. So we try to do it as much as we possibly can.
When Mark would need something for the office or the job site, he'd hit the local hardware store, he'd hit the local lumber yard. We can do that as a CMA, it's not as a CMA. Because we can't self-perform any work as a CMA.
And what are your concerns about this project, given what information you have about it so far?
My concern is I'd love to go to work for you. I'm local. I'm in the Recorey School District, but I'm not within the city limits. So been through town a billion times on my own, and I kind of feel that this is home to me and a lot of our people. It's a wide open site. You look at restrictions, and we're excited about it. I'd love to come in here and build your building. We have local people that work for us that support the community here. We support the community. We have a lot of our subcontractors that we've hired through here. And we want to go to work for you, so.
We would love to work this close to home. Turtle Mountain, you know. Our meeting.
All right, anybody got any other questions for him?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
How often during the project, how often can the city, I'm going to say the mayor, the police chief, the fire chief, or the council, how often will you let them go through the site even while it's building? Is the site while it's building is off limits because of safety?
This is your site. You can come in, you can do anything you want at any time. You have to be courteous and respect the superintendent day-to-day activities if something dangerous is going on.
He would be the one that would do the tour, I would
Yeah,
say.
I would
Tour?
escorting and just.
Oh, you're
we
the,
just need,
okay.
Require safety.
And then
hardware
I
stuff.
have another one here is how, since it's going to be a fire station and a police station, how much are you going to keep, you're going to, I'm going to say our police department, our fire department, especially the chiefs, are you going to listen to their ideas? How
I
sometimes,
do that up front. I say the owner and the design team, but it's really the end user. be the fire chief, police chief, also the maintenance person. I like to bring them in because if you put something nice for aesthetics and design, he has experience and says, you're gonna destroy that right away. The cleaning, it's gonna be an added expense. So we go out in the front end, as the architect will, most likely anyways, bring in all the end users and discuss what are the needs, particular things. And we will go out, and anytime you have a council meeting and you would like it explained, you want a status update, we would come in, any one of us or all of us would come in and give a briefing, a presentation like this to give an update to the community. We're readily available and will always be communicating. Communication.
Okay, my last question would be, if something comes up on the job, something isn't working out, from that time when something goes wrong till the city knows what's happening, what would be the time period?
Yes. He's gonna, if it's an emergency, he's gonna call it right in, to
Okay,
whether it's the police, fire, or whatever.
I mean,
Otherwise, he's gonna
yeah.
contact us, Brandon's gonna contact you immediately. You're gonna know, we don't hide anything.
Because what I was trying to get away from is how come you guys didn't tell us, I'm trying to get away from that. Why did you wait this long and stuff like that?
Bad news doesn't get better.
Okay.
You gotta be upfront and clear, the only way to proceed, move forward.
Thank you.
And typically on that, Fran, if you look at the meeting minutes and stuff with our software, whoever has access to it, we will hold monthly meeting or weekly meetings, and those minutes are posted.
Okay.
And through our team software program, everybody that's invited in, which would be the entire council, you'll be able to read that and come in, attend the meetings. So it's open book, transparent. You'll be able to see everything. If you start talking about line of communications, I just want to touch base just a little bit as far as the police chief or your public works director wants to come in and make a change. We just ask that we have a straight line of communication, because Mark and Brandon can't be taking direction from 8 different people, or you're going to have an octagon and a square room and a round room all at once. And then, so we want to make that flow through the architect, through the design team, and the owner's got to buy in on it, because a lot of times the end user has got some great ideas that works for them, but it's not on paper. So let's talk about it ahead of time. Saves you time and money.
Okay, is that it?
I'm done, yeah.
Doug, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
All right. Nobody else does?
I just like to thank
Yes, go
the
ahead.
group in closing. I just want to thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to present Donlar Construction. I'm confident that this team will meet your expectations. And if we are selected, I'm looking forward to build a great relationship with the city of Cold Spring and the team, your design team that you've selected. So thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm truly, I'm like, oh. Okay. Okay. I never end up taking the jacket off, no matter how many times I wear one in here. It doesn't matter. Hi. Good.
Yeah, well, we'll do. What we'll do is I'll set it up now. Have you introduced to everyone on the screen and see everybody?
Yeah.
And then I'll share my screen. Where's the?
Oh, yeah,
It's gonna be all ready.
yeah, I remember that.
Good.
I don't
So,
have. Well, the last team used mine off. If that makes sense. Thank you. I'll bring you the mouse when you're ready. Get back at the meeting. All of you online, they're gonna introduce themselves and then we'll switch to their PowerPoint presentation.
yeah, you can leave
That's
them
fine.
on, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll come pick it up sometime.
So Robbie,
Brandy,
this is
just send
clean.
it through the computer for
Yeah.
him. Put it in paper.
you ready to go?
That's how much I know about computers, Brad.
Or I can- You'll hit share screen. Right here. Right there, and then you go to your car.
Okay. Second one we got is Wendell R.A. Martin. Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Well, first off, I just want to thank you for the opportunity, number one, for selecting our Team 5 Duo Design in Wendell to actually design the facility for you. And number two, for inviting us here to come tonight to talk about the construction side of things, right? So if everyone, doesn't know who I am and who the company is, my name is 5 Bugles Design, division of Wendell Companies, based out of Minneapolis, Eau Claire. Bunch of offices around, again, with the lead architect on the project. So we're in charge of the design. We've been working with the building committee now for a month or two, probably now already. And now we're at this next phase where, of course, we kind of, get the construction manager on board. And basically start looking at some of these options that we have put together for the team. But we are 5 Bugles Design of Wendell Companies. We're going to be teamed with R.A. Morgan. We're going to talk a little bit about that teaming arrangement. Just for some personal introductions of ourselves, again, I'm Robbie Krzyzewski. I'm the Director of Emergency Services for Wendell Companies and 5 Bugles Design. I'll be the project manager on the design side of the things, but I'm also the project manager as a whole. So if we were to be graciously selected in the construction side as well, one point of contact really is the kind of the theory from start to finish. And it's a really good setup. We'll kind of talk about it a little bit tonight. I'll let the rest of the team introduce yourself. We'll start with Mark first on our side.
I'll stand too, just so I can see everybody.
Mark, move up a little closer so the people on the screen can see you.
Sure. This good?
Towards this way and this way. A little more. There you go. There you go.
There you are, yep.
So I'm Mark Colmar, one of Robbie's partners. I'm actually the head of our construction division. I'm a licensed structural engineer. That's what I started out as, and kind of moved my way into management and fell in love with construction, and I've done it ever since. I'll be the project director on this project. Robbie and I have done a number of projects together where we were the designers and the builders. And that'll be my role is overseeing the build side of the work if you select us.
You can stand right there. They can see you too on the computer.
Sure. Kind of right about here. Then.
Yep.
Hello, I'm Preston Early. I'm the president of R.A. Morton. I grew up on a farm by Litchfield, Minnesota. Have spent my adult life in the St. Cloud area with R.A. Morton for the past 20 years. As the president of R.A. Morton, I'll be overseeing the operations from the construction site side of this project. And I'm very pleased to be back in the Cold Spring community. My firm has done some projects here. In fact, we've done a few projects for the school district of Ricori, and we also worked on the project at Riverside Inn. And it'd be very fun to be back here working with you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Schweifels, construction manager for R.A. Martin, site superintendent, and excited about the project and hopefully looking forward to working with you guys. Talk a little bit more about my experience in a while.
We'll get to the technology part and see if I can.
All right, so hit share of the share move. Now go down, click on your PowerPoint.
Yeah, if you guys just sit, then everybody can see with the camera where everybody is. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yep, and then give you the.
Yep. Is it okay if I stand? Lisa?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you should be able to stand there.
We're gonna skip through these first couple slides because we kind of busted through already. Again, 5 years of design, you know, we are designers on the project. Kind of went through most of this, but a lot of experience that we bring to the table, both on the design side. But again, it's about controlling our product. 5 years of design, we're really emphasis on, you know, start to finish, right? So we've got a lot of experience, as does our work in the field of public safety buildings and fire stations and so on and so forth. So tonight we really want to show that experience and how we can bring as a product in the end to the city of Cold Spring. We all know we have our in-house safety, and, you know, public safety specialists, project sizes are all over the place, but the credibility on the national level, we have a 5 year design in Wendell. It's a, you know, the number one reason probably why hired us when we're in the design portion.
If you wish, while you're speaking, you can take your mask off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's totally up to you.
As you speak, so if you're not speaking, you can't.
Yeah.
So we actually have three companies. We've got a design firm, a construction firm, and an energy services firm. But the roots of our company is really from the design side. And as we did more projects, clients needed help building it, and they asked us to build it, and we formed a construction company to do that. Because our firm is really centered as a design firm, our approach is more design oriented. So as we build the project, we're really focused on the owner's needs as really their trusted advisor. That process that we use is we call the master builder process. And those of you who are familiar with master builders of the old, like Frank Lloyd Wright, those folks would typically be in charge of all the design and all the construction. And that's essentially what our firm is. We do both of them. And we use that as the master builder approach, where we lead both the design and the construction. So our construction firm actually builds what our design firm designs in many instances. We have 15 offices across the United States. Obviously here in Minneapolis and Eau Claire are the two closest. And throughout the East, 275 employees. And we're fortunate enough that we have all the disciplines in-house. We do very often team with partners like R.A. Morton and other engineering firms, but our firm is unique in that we have all of the engineering, architecture, and construction disciplines in one building, as we say, virtual building. A little bit about R.A. Morton. Founded in 1982, we've been an agency construction management company since that time. Our core operating philosophy is used or described by the tagline right from the start. And what that means is that, first of all, we feel that we're most efficient when we're brought on board early on in the process. So we really appreciate this opportunity and you know, Bob, that you have chosen to bring a construction manager on this early into the project. Secondly is to be correct from the beginning. It's very important that as you're understanding the project, you meet those objectives throughout the entire phases of the project. And so being involved early and being correct early on is really helpful in these types of projects. About 85% of our business is public work. As I mentioned, that is municipal, but also educational. So we're very accustomed to working in the public arena. And we really believe in a teaming approach. So we'll talk a little bit more about, you know, why this team, but working together as that collaboration is very important and I think very helpful in every project. The strengths that we bring are very accurate estimating, competitive bidding, which brings the right stakeholders to the project, not only from the architectural engineering side, the construction side, but also from the prime contractors that will be involved with the project, bringing all of those team members together. And then, as Mark mentioned, our experience with these types of projects, some of the facilities you might be aware of or have been into, the St. Joe Government Center Police Department, Sauk Rapids Police Department Government Center, St. Cloud Police Department, fire stations number 2 and 5 for the city of St. Cloud, among some others. So this really is a project that fits our experience as well.
Yeah, before I get into one thing I did mention, if you have any questions, during the presentation, feel free, we'd rather have it be a discussion anyways and wait to the end. So if anything pops up, feel free to stop me and we'll answer the question at that particular moment. But this is like, why did we team, right? So going through this entire process, we'll kind of go through the phases of different things with the building committee, kind of walk them through where we're at and as far as the design, and we're at this conceptual design right now. And I know that local is important for Cold Spring, right? And how we can get them. And Preston's going to talk a little bit about the bids that we've received on certain projects and how this works for local community, local contractors. I think that's an important thing for you. Just the experience in public safety design and construction. You can look at our portfolio, and again, when we get into this down here a little more, they've done a lot of fire stations. We've done a lot of fire stations. It made sense to team with a local partner in your area and bring all that expertise together into one team. But our relationship as well, we've worked with RE Morton. Our Minneapolis office has worked with them a lot for the past 20 years, especially on the educational side. We've done a lot of stuff on that side together, and that working relationship worked great for us. So it made sense, for us to team with them. But again, it's also about controlling the product. Right? We're really big on that, the 5D design and that controlling that start to finish end product. Our next reference, we want that to be you. So by doing this and controlling construction, it really helps with us and to monitor that product.
So just kind of building on the last words that were on that last slide, the best of both worlds, really our unique value as a team is we have everything that you need for this project. From the design and the construction, including the local presence, but excuse me, Robbie. First and foremost is undeniable expertise. Robbie himself is a nationally recognized expert. You have selected us and entrusted us really with your design. And this is really building on that. We said previously, we've got all the design and construction professionals in-house, but we've worked so much with RE Morton, we actually kind of feel like we're a firm. And that's a really great relationship that we want to build on this project. Lessons learned in design. Well, we've done hundreds of these kinds of projects. Every project we learn from whatever happened on the last project. So after 200 of these, we've built all of that quality into our product. You're going to benefit from that in that the last project is, our project that we will build all those lessons into. Combine that with, the national expertise, writing papers, judging designs, and being present in an area where the trends are emerging and being kind of on the front line of that is very important. Having that all in-house means a lot. That unique master builder approach where we're both designers and builders all under one roof. We think about that together as a team, not one versus another. You're not the referee between the builder and the architect. You benefit from having us be your single point of contact. You only have to make one phone call when you need to. It's to that man over there, and the rest of the team is connected to that. You're not trying to figure out who do I call next. Working together, 2 decades working together on lots of public projects between us and RE Morton. It feels like we have our own brand, Preston. But local presence, Mike here, he's 20 minutes from the site. We have a problem, Mike is right there. We're going to be able to manage that closely. All the contractors in the area, the name of choice is RE Morton. They know this firm, they are very, very reputable, and they're very accustomed to working in the conditions we have around here. Continuous leadership. Robbie is going to be here from beginning to end. He's the consistency of efficiency. You're only paying for one manager to work on this project, not two. You have to hire a separate firm. You have another manager on the payroll.
To kind of elaborate a little bit on this on lessons learned, I think that's a big deal, right? You know, being how many of these I've done personally at Preston and RE Morton, there are things during construction that we've learned. And that is a very big, important thing. It's something as simple as in our apparatus phase. There's nothing worse than getting done with a project and you got these nice fire trucks, but then the apparatus before has a gigantic scratch in it from someone taking a lift and having a screw in the tire and it rips into it. So at that point, I said, we're covering the floors. From now on, from start to finish, we're gonna put down cardboard and take care of that problem, right? So that experience that comes with building these types of buildings and ultimately writing your specifications to get rid of those problems so they're not headaches later on, that's a really big deal. And this just was a slide of, all of the fire, not even all, the carbon, actually, scheme of things, of the fire stations that we've, over the years had construction management on. Even the ones that we aren't the construction manager, we're familiar with that process. We're always doing construction management. It's our preferred delivery. So we applaud you for selecting that route of a deliverable system. But yeah, it's definitely every one of these projects is a construction management related project. This one here is actually on Madeline Island up in Bayfield. We're just wrapping that one up right now as the construction manager and building a fire station on an island. It's a task and it was a fun project. Project approach just to show you where we kind of are. So on the left-hand side, we're at programming and conceptual design. The building committee, we have a couple options. And we felt that, okay, at this point, now is a good time to stop and bring that construction manager on board, have them do pricing on those options, get some estimates, and what better is for RE Morton being local, to be able to give us some estimates on those conceptual plans, ultimately present those options with costs to the city council, and then ultimately decide on the next route to go. So we're at that programming and that conceptual design phase. We'll do an estimate. And we'll go to the next phase after we're all comfortable with the costs and where we sit. And we'll go again to the design. I'm probably repeating myself from our first interview, but design development, we'll do an estimate, construction document before we put this out on the street. We'd rather make our decisions now. Granted, some of them could be difficult decisions, but we'd rather do that now than to have a big surprise at the end and then have to figure stuff out. So really, this process is great. Construction manager is on board, start to finish. They're hearing everything I'm hearing. So when we're building the thing, they'll say, Rob, you talked about this. And I say, you're right, we did talk about that. And we'll take care of it right now. That's where we are in the project at this point. Still a lot of design left to do.
The primary objective, obviously, is to deliver a quality project for the city of Cold Spring. And along with that quality, though, are all the other variables that go with it, the timeline that's involved with material selections. But at the end of the day, it's the cost control is the element that everybody really is wanting to focus on, and it is, along with quality, one of those key components. What we're going to do is apply our real-time experience as a group with all those stations that the Fire Bugles group has done, and with our local experience with these kinds of projects. We're going to have real-time information that's available to you. And as we mentioned, that early involvement is the best time to control costs. 80% of costs are controlled in the first 20% of planning. And that's why it's so important to do these estimates early on. We often explain estimating, is it an art or is it a science? It really is both. There is the science part of it where you do the takeoffs and all that, but it's an art to try to build this project in our minds and on paper as the designs are developed. And that is a really important thing to do. We really want to also gather the local contractor availability for this project. That's a very important piece that we will focus on. And what that means is that we're going to be also looking for some input that they might have along the way and during this estimating time. In terms of development costs, value engineering, and then also incorporating some of the items that we call alternates that will give you some options to either add things or maybe look at different product or materials along the way. All of this really becomes transparent in an open book process. So you're going to be able to see all of those estimates as we go along, ask the questions about how those are developed and what that means. And then we also use the terminology good, better, best. We're going to provide to you some options that you can explore along the way. So you really all of these are important factors in controlling that cost, because at the end of the day, we don't expect that you would ever want to find more money for this project than you anticipated going into it. So we have to control it.
I think I heard Preston say control about 16 times in that. Thank you for the lead-in, because it's what I'm about to really try to drill in even harder on. And we believe that real control comes with transparency. And you as a municipality, this is your money, your constituents' money, but you've entrusted us, if you hire us, to manage it for you. So we're going to be the watchdogs of the money. And there's two graphics up here I want to kind of call attention to, because there's two different approaches to work in our industry. And one being an open book where it's very transparent, one being a closed book where it's not very transparent. It would not be in a municipality's best interest. But on the left is kind of an example of a cost that's more of a closed book option, where the construction cost isn't necessarily the competitive cost that you would get in the public arena. And on top of that, when you do a closed book GMP very early in the project, very often a risk factor for unknowns gets added to the cost, which is kind of a fluff factor. The bad news is once a project like that is awarded, the books get closed. And now those dollars and cents get managed by someone whose motivation really is to maximize profit, can be taken out of that closed book operation. We believe in the public sector, as a matter of course, you need to have a more transparent and open book process where you're in control of the money, but we're the vehicle that controls it. First, the construction cost, the blue on the left is more than the blue on the right, because in the open book process, we're actually getting competitive bids, and we're going to show you some examples of really interesting data for competitive bids. But suffice it to say, we're getting contractors to competitively drive the price down. On top of that, we will be, as a matter of managing the money, everybody needs to have a little bit of money set aside for things that change, contingency. But the beauty of a contingency in an open book is it's not a source of profit as much as it is your source of money to make changes when you need to. If the money in that contingency isn't spent, you get that money back. You're the beneficiary of an open book give back. And the difference between the two is really that risk factor that's added on because it's a closed book. You're not really paying for the risk. You're paying for an open book, and you're getting the best value, and you're getting whatever money is back into the public coffers. So being a project manager, I think I can say this, that I believe the best projects are the ones that are the most organized. The most crisp projects that we work on and the ones that have the best management usually end up with this. I think the planning and the management of any project, no matter it's a personal project, you manage something for yourself, you manage something for your work. If you take the time to be diligent, the chances of success are much higher. We believe that good project management combined with great field supervision is the key to control and success on a project like this. So we're going to organize it. We're going to over-organize if we have to. Timely and thorough communication. There's nothing worse than finding out about something after it happens. We want to make sure that you're kept in the loop and the right information gets to the right people in the right time. Records management, we're going to create a lot of paper on this project. But as the project manager of the project, what we want to do is make sure that those records are organized. So the RFP requested that the firm use a cloud-based software. We use something called Procore. Good news is everybody on this committee and in the
involved in the project will have access to all of the information, whether it's drawings, the budget, the schedule, no matter what it is, all that information is organized and shared. We've done projects where our clients have actually purchased Procore after the project because they were so happy with the organization and the information. At the end of this project, we will hand you several thumb drives with everything on it so that the people who manage this facility will have all of the information at their fingertips. And most importantly, I'm just going to say that controlling and managing the budget is important. We will, on your behalf, on a regular basis, bi-weekly, we'll meet with you on the finances and make sure that you see that and your board is kept in tune on what's going on the project transparently.
Thanks a lot, Mark. So based on my experience is a lot of construction management. I've been with Preston and RA Morton for 7 years. I drive the schedule. I'm going to be seeing a lot of those payments that Mark was just mentioning and stuff like that. Be looking over a lot of those field change orders and everything, and hopefully keep those down or anything like that. I'll be looking and working with the contractors, making sure they're doing their job properly and correctly and as safe as possible. Safety is key, big time. So we really watch that. A lot of communications. We represent you guys, and I communicate basically quite a bit with you. So, yeah.
Just to add a little bit, we wanted you to meet Mike today because we think experience does matter. It's very important to us that we hire employees that have construction experience, ones that can represent this project and you well in the field with the trade contractors. We feel that coordination, that relationship is very important as well, because the better that they're treated, the better that they can perform, the better the results for you because they're more efficient and those bid prices are more efficient. And so that boots on the ground part of that is a key component as well.
What's most important about site superintendent too is, bringing construction managers further away. He's going to be looking at these drawings as these plans are being put together. He's going to offer feedback and say, we did it this way in this job. Maybe we should think about doing that.
Oh, but they got a good presentation.
Yeah.
Can you mute your microphones, please?
So yeah, I've also had 30 years experience in the field, and I'm kind of a local. So I'll show you here some trifles around here. I've also worked on the hotel with Jim, and I was involved with the government center in St. Joe, multiple other projects. So
Yeah, where I was going with that site superintendent is they're gonna help the project manager and help with tight scopes of work. I mean, that was a big thing, making sure that scope of work in front of the documents is tight. Everything's taken care of, there's not any surprises later on. Everyone knows what they're doing in the end of the scopes of work for different contractors.
And I'll just add on that this project will be either successful or not, depending on the person we have in the field. And I truly believe that project managers are great, designers are great, but if Mike is in tune with every one of the contractors working on this project and has the relationship with them that I know he can build, this project will be a success. Because every day is, what did we do yesterday that we need to do, that we didn't do yesterday that we need to do today? Every project is kind of 1 day, 1 week, 1 month increments, and managing that every day is something that we take very seriously.
yeah, we've also worked with quite a few of the contractors in the area and stuff, so we got a pretty good rapport with them, and so that helps. So whoever gets it. But.
So, has anyone ever seen this image here? Whenever I see it, I get a bit of a gulp. But what it means to me is the original contract is the little dinghy. The change order is the big yacht. And I think in today's state of the state, we have a very competitive marketplace. Contractors bid projects, they very often bid them very low with not a lot of margin. But the key to the yacht is bidding them low and hoping that there's going to be a change order. So that's kind of the way that a lot of contractors are making money. But that process really has a situation that gets developed where the owner ends up being unfortunately the referee between the designers and the constructors so that the ding in the yacht situation doesn't escalate. The good news is for a project like this, we want to bring transparency and trust back to the world. And in doing that, we think that having a firm that's involved in the design and in the construction and managing that for you, one point of contact will help eliminate you from being that referee and bring transparency and trust back to this kind of a project.
So we'll kind of go over now the difference between the CM advisor or CM at risk. First of all, I just want to congratulate you for going this route, CM. I think this is definitely a preferred method that we've seen. 90 to 95% of our projects are delivered this way now. It's a lot less confrontational, a lot less. The team is built ahead before we get too far along in the design. So first off, I think you're heading in the right direction, and that's great. We don't really have a preference on either one of them. Just so you know, we did separate our fees accordingly. We don't self-perform any work. We don't have shovels. We're strictly a professional, management only firm. So we're managing the groups. Everything that will be built will be subbed out, and we won't touch a hammer. I guess maybe we will hang a sign or something, but we won't do too much.
I do a little bit.
Hammer and something else. But again, over 200 public safety projects that 5 Bugles brings to the table. Plenty of other ones that Preston and RA Morton bring to the table. But a vast majority of those are the advisor wing. So we're going to kind of go through each one with each one of these options. Preston's going to take the CMA version. Mark's going to take the CMAR version and kind of explain the differences. And then kind of, from there you can take it and run with it. So good question.
There was a lot of information in the RFP we submitted about the two different pieces. So Mark and I could probably spend 3 days talking about that, but you all know that we don't want to take that much time. So kind of a quick summary is some of the bullets that we listed here is that we are your advisor. We're working on behalf. We're basically on the same side of the table in this process as you are. We're not on the same side as the contractors. We are your advocate. That's probably the biggest component of the agency approach in that difference. A lot of the other things are similar. How you might approach, some of that estimating and bidding, but we take it to the very next level on your behalf to get the true and best value. We often call this is that at the end of the project, you're going to pay the true cost of the project, not an anticipated or an inflated. It is the true cost. So the CM advisor is kind of one of the key words, and risk is the other key word. I think those two things separate those two delivery methods. Advisor is more of a professional service. Risk is more of a general construction mindset, if you will. In fact, it's set up very much like a general construction contract where it's very attractive to owners because they only have one entity that they're dealing with, one check to write. The contractor owns all of the subcontractors, and very often there's what's called a guaranteed maximum price, a GMP, where they will offer a guarantee. I think at first glance, that sounds very attractive that I'm going to have a guarantee. But I think what we'll talk about are some of the pitfalls associated with this. We see construction management at risk, and we do this. We don't do it as much in the public sector because it's more of a closed book operation. And we think that public sector projects benefit most, and most of the work that we've done as a team and in this particular project type has been of the advisor type. It's very similar to the architect, and that's why we're kind of pushing having the architect be your advisor during construction. If you go to the next slide. So some of the concern areas, if you will, for construction management at risk in the public sector are 5 things I have here. One is self-performing work. As Robbie said, we don't self-perform work. We don't have carpenters, we don't have laborers. We are purely a managerial operation. And that is how we would control this project. Doing the work ourselves, there's really no guarantee that it would be better, it would get done faster, it would be cheaper. There's no guarantee that would happen. Furthermore, self-performing work presents an opportunity for us to kind of shift costs from different buckets with the intention to make more money if we can. I'll give you an example. If we self-performed the concrete work and we still had Mike out on the site, I could probably get paid by you for Mike, and I get paid for Mike again if we self-perform the concrete work because he's watching. So I can kind of double dip. So I think that's something that needs to be very carefully thought about. If you allow a contractor to self-perform work, you have to be very careful that they're not hiding the cheese and kind of double dipping. It's just something to be concerned about. The guarantee, the timing of that is very important. If you get a guarantee early in the process, you're going to have more risk added to it, more contingency. There's really not a lot of benefit to an owner for more contingency, because what that means is you're paying more. It's just that simple. An additional contingency in a GMP is you're paying more money because it's now a closed book. I'm not going to, I'll let you see where that money's going because I don't have to. It's closed book. That's why we're advocating for open book. It's the closed book philosophy is, you know, I don't like saying this because I don't want to say that it's not a good system, but it's a system that allows certain loopholes to get, to allow me to not really have a guarantee. And one would be if I find something in the ground. So if I have an unforeseen condition and I gave you a guarantee that said it doesn't include unforeseen conditions, it's not part of the guarantee. So now I get to make more money on the fact that I now have a change order. If you ask me to build the building twice as big, there's a change order. If the architectural drawings have an omission on them, there's an opportunity for change order. So the guarantee can sometimes be guaranteed maximum profit when you're looking at this kind of a project. And it's, in my opinion, it's really not a guarantee because anything, any loophole that is there that gives me the opportunity to go outside of that legally, I just had an opportunity to make a little bit more money. Fee enhancement opportunities, we call them, you know, other sources of revenue. The first one is what I call subcontractor meetings. So nobody, it's not pretty, but when a general contractor wins a project, the first thing they do is go back to all the subs that they got pricing from and get a little more out of them to put a little more in their pocket. So getting that as a fee enhancement opportunity. Marking up general conditions, billing for trailers and equipment twice. And we're getting late, but.
Yep.
I'm getting close.
This is our last slide. So Preston's gonna
Perfect
take
time.
it.
And we'll do this real quick because
Yeah,
Thank
you're,
you.
we talk about trying to stay on schedule, and that's to keep it. We want to highlight a case study here that you're all very familiar with, your taxpayers for this project as well. So the importance of this is our work that we did as a team on the Recording School. In this case, we hit the ground really hard to get the contractors to bid, and we received over 250 bids on this project, where 80% of the construction costs were within a 30-mile radius of the Cold Spring market. That meant that all those employees that live in this community had an opportunity to work on this project and be bidders on this project. So that's really, you know, how we're going to approach this project too. Okay. This handout we wanted to show you because this is a live or living document of actual results from bid package 2 of that. And so you can see how many bids that we received on this project. This was only the one bid package, so the numbers don't quite match up. 250 up there, it says 211 here because there were other bid packages. But what this represents is, as an example, we had contractors, we do bid to general contractors. We invite them to bid because that's important. They're a community also, but they don't always submit the lowest qualified bid in every section of work. And so if we wanted just to kind of pick a color here like green, they were the low bidder in this section of work, but they weren't in these two. We were able to get a lower qualified bid in those other two sections. And what that turns out, in this case, a 12% savings for the project when you look at all of those lowest qualified bidders. And so this is how we're going to approach this project. Very aggressive. and very all encompassing to give you the best results. I know I went through that pretty quick, but we want to.
Yeah, and that's what sheet we have in front of you there, that's yours to keep,
Mhm.
you know, so you kind of see how, same thing with the design, you know, how passionate we are when it comes to design. We're obviously passionate on the construction side that we're taking our time for it, but, you know, again, I just want to thank you all, and, you know, if you have any questions right now, we'll be open for any questions. And we'll kind of go from there.
We do have a list of questions, so Bridget's gonna read them for us.
Did you complete your previous CMA projects on time and under budget? And if not, what was the major cause of delay or added expense? And have you changed your practices as a result of that project to avoid it happening in the future?
Well, I think our track record of CMA is actually excellent. In fact, our track record includes being able to give our clients money back out of that contingency pot as opposed to keeping it as another source of profit, giving it back to either add something that wasn't part of the original bid, an alternate that wasn't taken on bid day. Adding that back is really a benefit to you. So on time, I think we aggressively manage our projects so they're on time. We have not had budget slippages or schedule overruns on any of the projects we've done for CMA.
Yeah, we have a fire station right now in Swamico, Wisconsin, that we're working with another CMA on, and our contingency fund right now, we're putting ceiling tile, painting walls, and about a month for moving around, we spent $27,000 in contingency. Which at 5%, they had about $300,000 allocated to spend on contingency. So you can see how having that relationship with the CM and having that tight set of plans again, and everything wrote and tight, you get a nice project and a lot less controversy.
At La Pointe, our contingency actually grew.
Yeah.
We had several credit change orders that we negotiated with the contractors, and now we have a negative change order, total change order on that project.
Great. Did you complete your previous CMAR projects on time and under budget? Same question basically. And what was the major cause of delay or added expense in those? And what would you do differently to prevent that from happening?
I said it at the beginning, we don't do a lot of CMAR. We do them, but our mode is mostly SAM as advisor. What we do is a lot of design, what we call design build, which is very similar to construction management at risk. It is actually, allows us to do both design and construction. But in that one, we're in a lot better control of the project. So I would say that our track record is as good as it is on the CMA side because we're in better control of all the design and construction work as the design builder.
On the design side, when you start looking at risk, I've done personally a lot of our at-risk projects with other CM at-risk, type of scenarios. And Mark kind of hit the head on some of those. Is, we've got our site superintendent. He's upstairs on the roof, putting the roof curb on, pounding nails, but nobody's watching. This guy over here is putting the concrete down because our site superintendent's up on the roof doing work. So we see a lot of that happening on the CMR side. But again, change orders, that can be a very controversial thing. If they end up bidding the concrete, they're going to find concrete things that may be wrong, and they're going to want that change order of which they get paid to do the work. And then they get another percentage on that of their 3% fee for managing that work. And so it kind of builds up after a while. So it's kind of some of the difference we see on the CMA.
Thank you. In the CMA model, after bids are gathered and the construction started, what role do you play in assisting the city with maintaining the timeliness in the budget?
I'll let Preston go now. Yeah, that really is our primary function. Not only to get you the best bids and get those contracts prepared, but then to follow through and make sure that those contractors are following their contractual obligations for cost and time and quality. And so that is our primary function from the site side at the very, lowest common denominator of controlling all of those functions, all the way up through the project management and to the principals in charge, just to make sure we're managing this project. So that is our primary responsibility. I think you said
monthly reports too. Mark kind of elaborated on that. We give you monthly updates. The council always gets that report every month. Instead of 3 months later, we come up and give you an idea of what's happening. It's every month. We're doing it.
And we meet weekly on the project, and the client will be part of that. You will be part of this project, whether we're the builder or not. There will be a meeting every week, bi-weekly scheduling meetings, and then bi-weekly budget and financial updates, so that you transparently see every red cent that comes and goes on the project.
You kind of answered this, but how much interaction and reporting out to the city is there in the CMR side model?
I think our delivery would be exactly the same thing. We'd be, delivering that report to you every week, and again, it's just that open book philosophy that's different for us. But as far as reporting back to you, I think that delivery is.
Yeah, it's a closed book versus an open book, but the reporting process is identical.
The city's looking at a USDA rural development loan for payment for this project. Does that change the model of delivery your firm would prefer, and why?
No, it doesn't. We're actually doing a brand new hospital for Cumberland Healthcare in Cumberland, Wisconsin, and that's a USDA $30 million project that's being delivered using CM as advisor. Exactly the same, and we've just gone through all of the legalities of that with USDA. They've approved it, and Cumberland's attorneys have also written their opinion, and they've approved it as well. So it's, and if you need any assistance on that, I think we could offer you some as well outside of this.
USDA has a lot of special requirements that they want to see in their front end, and various other things. It's stuff that we're used to seeing, so.
Do you have an approximate idea of how long to start from contracts being signed to how long the whole process will take from where we are? Well, obviously, you know where we are in the.
Yeah, so I would say we probably have about 2 or 3 months left to design. So once we get through this process, like I said, we're pretty early, and I showed it on there, right? Conceptual design, we've got bubble diagrams at this point. But after this next phase, we'll get this construction manager on board, and then the wheels start turning pretty quickly.
Big Bobo himself.
I can get it
Okay.
done in 2 to 3 months of design, but again, if we're doing that start and stop method like I kind of talked about, where we go to a certain phase, stop, and then do an estimate, and then start back over, and do an estimate, and then do the gaps in there, and where things are going.
Barbie.
Fully capable of, starting construction on this thing during summer, more likely by May, June type of thing is what we should be looking for. Again, it's all entirely about you. How fast we go on that realm. Project this size, you're in that 10 to 11 months. range for that, and we kind of see our people being based off of per month. So then the faster we get done, that would save you for you. So we have a fire station again, it's Swamical. It's about this size, 2 stories. We're gonna get it done in 9 months.
Yeah, and Riverside is 10 months, which is about $5.5 million.
And Swamical project's a $6.5 million project. So it's pretty.
How much input, if any, does the city have regarding subcontractor selection in either of the 2 models?
So you have as much as you desire. In fact, we have a very long list between our firm and RE Morton of all the contractors that we would like to see. But as far as, public bid goes, we will take public bids, and every one of the contracts, there'll probably be 15, 20 plus or minus contracts. We haven't broken it up yet, but every one of those contracts will be competitively bid, no less than 3, as many as on that list that you saw from Preston. Impressive. But you will be part of ultimately the selection in that once the bids are in, we have 1 or 2 that are kind of the apparent low. We'll go through the due diligence and make sure they're qualified. There's no, skeletons in the closets, and they're really good contractors that we're going to want. But you will be involved in helping us make that decision. There's not a lot of, low bids that get kicked out in the public arena, as we all know. But I think what we want to do is make sure that we have the right players and we get the right team on this project. So that's the CM, that's the real CM agency. In the CM at risk, I think there's input in terms of if we go to kind of a GMP early on in the project, you can make suggestions and then we would pick from a list. But I think your better control would really be on the agency side where we're publicly bidding those.
you know, and again, why did we team, right? RA Morton, they're gonna have a list of contractors that one of them may show up, you may have that one, ooh, you know, we worked with them before, we have to make sure we ask these specific questions of them. Hey, you did this on this project, let's not have happen here, right? And Mark kind of alluded, you know, public projects, you're usually going with a little bidder, you know, unless there's some attenuating circumstances, but I think, you know, having Preston's crew, that's really gonna help us, you know, look at those contractors and get the idea of who can and who has had problems.
I think the key word in all of that that I would add would be the lowest qualified bidder. We want to make sure that they meet the qualifications.
In your experience, how often do you utilize local subcontractors and material suppliers in these types of projects? And is there a difference under the CMA model versus the CMAR model for attracting good bids from local resources?
You know, the bidders themselves, again, are a factor of us qualifying them, putting into the specifications, the requirements that they need to follow. And so, you know, we will follow all of those things. Now, in this case, as I shown in that example, where a real life project in this community, we got 80% of contractors, which we would consider local. That's very good. And a lot of the other ones that aren't in that 80% are people that aren't part of an area anyway. Like, you don't have an elevator contractor that lives in this community. So examples like that. So there's going to be functions that have to come up from outside. But we really want the local contractors to be successful. We encourage them to understand the project and to give us their best bid. And they take a lot of pride in that too. They want to work on this project. And we think it's good community stewardship to do that.
Okay, and finally, do you have any concerns about this project, given the information you know about where we're at?
I don't know about that architect.
Yeah, you step out. What?
I'm not sure about the architect.
Oh, yeah.
No concerns. You're actually, like I said before, you're headed in the right direction with the CM and all that other stuff. So it's perfect. You know, you've got a halfway decent architect, right, Mark? So, you know, we can figure that one out from there and pushing forward, you're headed, like I said, you're going right where you need to go.
I think the method that you elected to go in is really the right direction. Robbie said it well at the beginning. You know, our hats off to you for thinking about this. It's not a concern. It's just our feeling is you will get a better value, a better product if you go to an agency with an arrangement. And not that we're shy of doing the other one. We just think in this kind of a project, we see it really working. And you are in a public benefits best advantage and best interest.
You guys got any other questions? Gary, Shannon?
Do not. Thank you, guys.
How about,
Thank you.
how about Doug? Do you have anything?
No, I'm good on my end. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll get to your dump drive.
Sure.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, you too.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good.
When it's time for your share
I
screen,
think.
now, we're gonna let everybody see who you are when you do your impressions, then to your share screen. And then you do that.
Okay.
And you can say what you're doing.
The mask policy?
When you talk, you can take your mask off or down, whatever, yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, we got to keep them on. Everybody ready? We are gonna go to letter C, Kraus Anderson. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
So we have about a half hour.
Yep.
Yeah, about a half an hour, yeah.
Question and answer after that.
Yep.
Wonderful. So, got the handout in front of you. There's a little deal with a picture design as we go through. And then also there is a PowerPoint presentation that they have. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. My name is Mark Cotton. I am the construction executive of the market sector leader for Kraus Anderson, and I work with this wonderful team. I've worked with PA for about 25 years and lead the public market sector. I grew up in Regal, Minnesota. My family still lives there. My brother and his family and my dad and mom still live in Regal. One of my fond memories of growing up when I was playing down team ball in baseball was to come to your wonderful park and play ball underneath the lights. So that's one thing that sticks in my mind of how I connected with Cold Spring. So with that being said, I want to start the presentation.
Yep.
Do we have Dale and Audie, are they up and running?
Yep, they both.
Perfect.
We're here.
We have 2 people virtually, 2 on that are going to be speaking right now. So if you want to go to the next one,
Yeah, you should be able to do a full screen somewhere, so you don't see the. Oh, not over there. Should be in the present. Oh, it's, there you go.
there we go.
What's the
I think it's up in yours, isn't it? Up on the top. Right. Over a little to the left, that full screen picture right there. Oh, no, that's it. So I think if you click, it'll go.
what I'm trying? Let's see,
Let me-
remote control. I don't mind just going up and clicking. this
Okay.
far.
We have it right here too in front of us. So.
Oh, just click. I think it should when you're on the mouse. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. It was before. But those are PowerPoints and this is a PDF, so it might
Oh,
be,
yeah, it'd be-
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll just run up there.
Okay.
So some of the highlights that I wanted to hit with regards to Kraus Anderson. Number one, we are a public safety. We do a lot of public safety buildings, fire stations and police stations. We've completed 31 fire stations and 27 police stations. We're currently working on a fire station that's in the ground right now. We'll be starting one in midsummer, and also police station wise too for the city of Crystal. We'll be starting their PD starting shortly. So we have a lot of regards to public safety buildings. Number two, everyone talks about Kraus Anderson. They're a huge contractor. They don't do small work, you know, that is BS. So as we go through this, we have completed over 300 projects in the last year underneath $10 million. This is in our wheelhouse. This is what we do, from $5 million to $10 million. A lot of our projects are in that range. Number three, construction construction management delivery model. 95% of our projects are delivered in either a CMA or a Cmar delivery model. So we know the transparency and open book and being collaborative, working through that situation. Number 4, we are relationship-driven contracting, and client-focused. 90 or 85% of our work is actually by repeat clients and or by word of mouth. So, and our goal is to build your trust and partner with you and do that through transparency.
Sure. Nice to take this thing off. Yeah, so my name is Jason Reckenster. I've been with Carl Sanderson 13 years, currently a senior project manager. What does that mean for you and for this project? It means I'll be leading this team throughout the construction process, taking a more heavy role in the pre-construction planning portions of the project, making sure that we're getting off on the right foot, pulling together all of the team members that you see here, as well as a number of others. Just making sure that we're pulling all those resources in, and then we'll talk a little bit about engaging local contractors. But generally, making sure that you're a happy client and that the project is a success and meets your goals. On a personal note, I had the opportunity to get into the public safety portion of this market sector. I'm pretty excited about that. I've got 9 years with the Wisconsin Army National Guard, 2 deployments. I served with a number of police officers and firefighters in my units, and it's just, I got out of the Army, and I did that, out of pride and duty and all that stuff, and I really like the opportunity to kind of get back and kind of carry forward that service per se. So for whatever it's worth, I appreciate the opportunity to hopefully carry that forward. So, Dale?
Hi, I'm remote, so hopefully you can see and hear me. My name's Dale Sonicson. I'll be the project manager if we get the opportunity to move forward with you. Hate to say it, but I've got decades of experience. I'm not going to go into how many. And over a dozen of the public safety projects, both CMA and Cmar. Very extensive experience in that. I didn't know I wasn't supposed to join at 6:30, so I did watch the other 2, just so you know. But as Jason mentioned, being in the reserves, I did 5 years in the Navy, but I was in the Seabees. I was in the construction battalion. So again, I've been doing this quite a long time, and I still wake up every morning with the passion of building things. So that's what I like to bring. Brandon?
Thanks, Dale. I'm Brandon Larkin. I grew up in the St. Cloud area. I live locally in Luxembourg. Love the opportunity to be a part of your project. My background is I've been with Krause Anderson for 19 years. The first 7 years as a laborer in the field. The last 12 years as a superintendent. I've done projects from the Iron Range to as far away as Chicago. The majority being public bid commercial buildings on a greenfield site, similar to your project. And I bring a team-based management style to my site because while we usually get credit for building it, we really don't build a lot. It's all the trades that do it. We just manage them. Allie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Allie Bindert. I'm a BIM and VDC specialist with Krause Anderson. And the fancy acronyms basically means I'm the digital side of construction. My education is in architecture, but I've been in construction for my entire career, which is 6 years. And over half of that was spent full-time out on site as a project engineer with the GC. About 3.5 years into my career, I not only miss working with digital models, but saw that skill set is very helpful in upfront planning and coordinating throughout a construction project. So my new role, I do a lot of pre-construction work, getting people coordinated, and then I help communicate the state of the project and the plans for upcoming work with the owners and with the community. I'm especially excited about public work because I like that added layer of the community being involved. We don't just work with an owner or an architect. We actually have to engage the community, and that's a big part of my job. And on to Audie Miller.
Thanks, Allie. I'm Audie Miller, Pre-Construction Services Manager for Krause Anderson. That's just a really long way of saying head bean counter, lead estimator. So I would be responsible for helping deliver a package to you all that helps you understand your project better with regard to cost and scope. So I've worked on several of these police and fire projects, specifically with this team, with Jason and Dale and Mark. So we've got a lot of synergy when it comes to planning and working on these projects, and I would greatly look forward to the opportunity to do that with the city of Cold Spring.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Audie. Jump to the next one. I'm sure by now you guys have heard a ton about pre-construction. Oh yeah. A ton about pre-construction and how important it is. Probably keep it high level here because I'm sure you guys have heard quite a bit tonight, but as with the other firms, I'm sure pre-construction to us is a big deal. It's where projects are made or broken, right? They're not. The ship might have been sunk, before you even left the harbor, kind of thing. So we put a lot of effort into pre-construction and into planning. And some of the, so we're excited. I guess what I wanted to say is that we're excited that you're looking at the CM model, whether it be agent or at risk. We believe that that is the best route for a city to make sure that they're getting a good, transparent project. And so bringing on a separate third-party construction manager is the most transparent way to go. So we understand that design is underway. And do you happen to know about where it's at?
We are just this close to being done with the conceptual design and onto schematic.
Awesome. Awesome. No, that's good timing, and that's actually good information. So jumping into the schematic design, followed by design development and construction documents are the three major milestones that we'll be engaging with estimates. So our first steps when we hopefully join the team will be to put together a very detailed estimate, a budget, where we're going to take a look at, how you're funding that project, what those sources are, any restrictions that might come with those funding sources, whether it be 100% capital or some version of a loan or any sort of bonding. From there, we'll be looking at, you need to put furniture in it, and you probably need some new equipment for it. You're going to need exhaust systems, and you might need some different alerting systems or communication radio features for these buildings. And so we'll be looking to budget those into your budget, as well as just day-to-day technology, right? Displays and all that stuff, permits, fees, et cetera. So very detailed estimate, or I'm sorry, I keep screwing up, budget. From there, we'll be also working on a schedule. And we'll be wanting to take a look at the plans that the architect has put together, understand how that is going to lay on the site and how that's going to go together. And this is something that Brandon and Dale will talk about a little bit more here. But looking at that schedule and pairing that up with an estimate and making sure that what we're estimating aligns with that. Believe, Minnesota, the time of year matters. When you're going to build that thing, it's extremely expensive to build portions of a building in the winter. So we want to look at timing and stuff like that. Detailed estimates. So SD, DD, CD, 3 detailed estimates. As they go, they'll get more and more detailed. The graphic here that you see on the slide is from a program that Modelogics that we have. And so we enter every one of our projects into the system, whether it be a police station or a fire station, public safety building, could be a school, a hotel, etc. They get entered into here, categorized, their time and date stamped, and then we're able to actually reference a number of construction indexes and time and date stamp that. And so we can actually pulled together a number of fire stations, plug in Cold Spring, Minnesota, and have a real good idea of what the fire station should cost here. So as we start, we're going to start, and we'll be leaning heavily on our cost history to reference what a project will start should cost. And as we move through those estimates, they become more and more and more detailed. The DD level and the CD level estimates, we'll be working with local contractors up here to understand what their pricing things at, right? So what is McDowell Company or Widener's or the other contractors in the area pricing, mechanical, electrical, concrete masonry for up here. So we'll be working with them. Actually did give a shout out to McDowell Company, Mark Dingman over there. We have a good relationship with them and done a ton of projects. And so honestly, just asked him if he knew anybody over here. And I think he said he might have known one or two people in the area. But anyway, long story short, detailed estimates. We want to make sure that it is a market-based approach before we go out to bid. From there, assuming that the budget is good, estimates are good, we're on budget, we're gonna put together a number of work scopes for this project. The way that we look at this is more work scopes are better. We're not inclined to pull together and bid this out to, say, 3 major packages. For projects such as this, we'll probably break it out somewhere between 20 and 30 different work scope packages. The reason we do that is we want to make sure that you're getting the best value. We want to eliminate all the markup on the markup on the markup and all the different bonds on top of stacking, right? So you're getting good value, getting good competition for those different scopes of work. We've worked with a ton of the contractors in this area and we have a real good idea of what their strengths are. And so we want to tailor those work scopes to their strengths. So from there, we'll put that package together and assemble that. We'll put this out on the street, as we call it, or out into the bidding market. It's virtual these days, as everything is. And then from there, it's our job to advertise that project and to market it for you and make sure that these contractors are aware of your project, that they're interested in it. It's our job to sell it. So we'll manage that entire bidding process, manage the questions, manage the feedback, do the site tours and walkthroughs, and then work with the design team to get the addendums or any clarifications that need to be done. We will facilitate the bid day activities. From there, we'll collect those bids. We'll end up with a number of bidders that are the apparent low. We'll go through and interview each and every one of those contractors and make sure that they understand the scope of work, that they've covered all the work that we've asked them to cover and vet out any sort of value engineering that they may have. From there, we will present to you a completed or a pulled together document or a recommendation to this group here for award for contract. And so from there, we'll kind of move into the construction side of things, the post bidding. Dale is going to talk a bit about that.
Thanks, Jason. I'll be working with Jason and the design team during the design phase, as well as with Audie. And one of the things that we'll do during that preliminary phase, the pre-construction phase, is to pull together not just the construction estimates, but we'll help you create an overall project budget. So this construction cost is one line item in a budget. There might be 20 or 30 line items in the total budget that are outside of the construction, whether it's finance costs, or if you have new furniture to outfit it, we call it FF&E, fixtures, furnishings, and equipment, or technology, which is typically outside of the construction contracts. We'll work with you to help develop line items for those items of work, and we do this on every project, and so we've got extensive history on where we think those values should be, so that it's not just the construction number that we're presenting to you, but it's the total budget. And we'll work with you and help you update that as the project moves on. When we get into the bidding phase, and it doesn't matter whether it's CMA or CMR. I know I've heard tonight different things tossed about, and I know from my experience under the state public bidding laws, whether it's CMA or CMR, those work scopes are still going out for bid in the individual, whether it's 20 or 30 or 40, if we get to that point, they're all going to be out there for public bidding. And once the bids are taken, as Jason said, we'll review them, make sure that there's no mistakes in the apparent low bidders contracts. I've gone through this. I'm working on the Burnsville Fire Station right now, and that's an agency project. And in vetting the apparent low bidders, I did find one that made a big mistake in his bid, and we were able to identify that. He asked to be able to withdraw his bid without a consequence, and so we flushed that out. So we didn't end up with a problem once we got into construction. So that's part of the pre-award process. And as Jason said, once we have all of the bids vetted, we'll present a recommendation of award letter to the council to take action. And again, whether it's CMA, where you're going to hold the contracts, or if it's CMR, the bids still go in front of, the low bids still are open, read aloud, and come in front of the council. And there's actually an award process that you'll make. And then if you choose to go with a CMR model, which we're utilizing on the Minnetonka Police and Fire Station, Jason and I are working on that now. The contracts, you'll award the contracts and then assign them to us. So it's still all open book. It's still all very transparent, unlike other things I heard tonight. So I just want you to understand that. And once we get into construction, we'll have a schedule laid out depending on the type of construction. If it's masonry, if it's precast or all structural steel, we'll make sure that we get the contracts for the long lead items, get the procurement process started so that when we're ready on site, Brandon will have the materials that he needs. As we go through the construction process, as project manager, I'll be your single point of contact during construction. My goal is to make this an easy process for you, to make it as, again, as transparent as I can make it. I'll, work through any potential change orders. We'll work through those with the design team. We'll process the pay applications, whether it's 30 individual pay applications in the CMA process, or one or several checks in the CMR process. I'll provide weekly and daily communication as needed. We utilize Viewpoint Team as our cloud-based software. We also have PlanGrid that Brandon will utilize in the field with the contractors, so they have immediate access to all of the documents that have been issued in the project. And again, we don't self-perform. We wouldn't bid on any of the bid packages. So once they're awarded, we'll either manage them on your behalf, or we can include them in a contract under Kraus Anderson if that's your choice. But again, very transparent, and we try and we'll communicate with you on budget and schedule, if not on a weekly basis, at least on a monthly basis. Speaking of communications, Allie?
Thanks, Dale. I'm going to pull up a brief video here. So as I was saying earlier, one of my main roles is to make sure that everybody on the project, which means Krause Anderson, City Council, subcontractors, and the community, all understand the current state of the project and plans for upcoming work. And at Krause Anderson, we luckily have many in-house tools that are really easy, easy for us to use to communicate these ideas to the owners, the subs, and the community. And one of my main roles on this job will also be to engage the community, which is a fun part of my job. So I can work closely with you, or as hands-off as you'd like to be, to tailor these updates however you'd like to present them to the community. These updates range from creating site logistics and phasing plans, which we have a few preliminary items here that Brandon will talk about later, or using our in-house drone services. We like to document key points in construction. Here's an example where we document the enclosure before cladding goes on, and then you can look back in time if you ever need to down the road. And then we also use our drone to create general progress updates, and it gets a lot of hype at community gatherings. So while community gatherings are being determined on a case-by-case basis, we have created a virtual option to keep your community informed. So I'll frequently go into sites, do general progress updates, or give key updates like this is a project completion tour. We also document key stages inside of the building, like in-wall and above ceiling rough-in. And then at the end of the project, all of this documentation can be turned over to you guys, and your building engineer can look back on it if needed. We love the tools we have. This virtual tour allows us to tie O&M manuals into that tour. And then your maintenance engineer doesn't have to go to a 3-ring binder. He can just pull it up on online in that virtual tour. So just know with KA, we have many in-house tools. I've only touched on a few here, but we'll use them all as available to keep you guys and your entire community informed, and we can work together to decide what's right for your project. And now Brandon will get into actually the day-to-day project and the start of our phasing and cycle.
Yeah, thanks, Ellen. So as a project superintendent, we're on site every day, 7 to 3:30, typical working hours. Our primary 3 responsibilities, we're going to simplify it and just call it 3, because we do anything and everything that's needed to keep the project moving forward. But as safety, we're out there with the contractors every day, making sure that they have their proper PPE, they're meeting OSHA's requirements, and as well as nowadays following COVID protocols. We want to ensure that we have an accident-free job, so work can continue to move on as scheduled. On the left there, you see a site logistics plan. That's one of the tools that we use to communicate with our subcontractors. Kind of shows them the general layout, site security, the fencing, where the access points will be, where we'll be doing material storage. It's an early on first look for them, so before they even come to the site, they have a little bit of an idea what's going on. The biggest responsibility of a superintendent, and in my opinion, what'll make or break a project in the construction phase, is communication and coordination. As I alluded to in my intro, we don't actually build anything. It's all the subcontractors that come in, move around on a daily basis, do their work, leave, come back. I mean, construction's a very fluid sequence, and we're there monitoring, making sure so that ultimately we can deliver this project on schedule, and also problem solve anything with the design team that might come up. We keep the subcontractors moving in the way that we get them answers they need, so that it can move on well. Allie alluded to PlanGrid. PlanGrid is a cloud-based app that we load all the plans onto, and I have plans for 3 different projects on my phone right now through the PlanGrid app. and it's managed by our project coordinator. So they'll take any changes, any updates, RFI responses, requests for information. They load it to this, and then the contractors have the current set at their hands at all times. That's important to making sure that we're always moving in the correct direction with the project. It's been one of the greatest single technologies that we have utilized in the last 10 years.
You got access to that too.
Yep, so they would set up like a City of Cold Spring account, and then you guys can go on there and look at the plans. And, you know, whoever your team is that needs information can get it from there. It's very intuitive and simple. This last expectation I'm gonna hit on, Allie, if you go to the next slide, is the quality. Quality is of the utmost important to everyone. We broke your building into 3 different phases based on, or 3 different areas based on the information that we had at the time. Each area there will have a different level of finishes in it. Obviously your office is going to have ceiling, carpet, trims. Your fire truck apparatus bay will probably be concrete, painted structure. We're there on a day-to-day basis, monitoring the subcontractors, making sure that all the work they put in place complies and will ultimately stand the test of time so that you guys have a building that lasts. The last phase that we didn't include in this is the closeout phase of the project. I get involved minimally in the pre-con with the project manager developing like the preliminary schedule there. We work through some of the work scopes and the details as it pertains to your specific building, differential tie-in points, the differential materials, and then on-site full-time and construction through the closeout phase. Closeout phase for us is completion of punch list, scheduling owner training. Believe it or not, one of the things most people don't realize is that with a new building, you're going to have 30 to 40 different trainings from manufacturers, vendors, with your engineering staff on how you're going to operate and maintain those systems. So we're taking care of the scheduling of that. We video record them, which tends to be a handy feature for you guys in the future, because who remembers everything they get told in an hour and a half? Hour and a half presentation. So we'll be there 100% through closeout, punch list, and I'm always 15 minutes away if something comes up.
Okay. It's the closest job you've ever had.
I did Eden Valley Watkins High School, Jim.
All right, well, you guys have gotten an earful tonight, I'm sure, from from us, but from everybody. Honestly, if there's a few takeaways, about Krause-Anderson that you walk out of here with, we'd love to, we just want to emphasize that, Krause-Anderson, does have that appearance of a big company, and that we only do big projects, and that couldn't be further from the truth. We do a ton of projects that are this size or smaller, actually bidding out 3 of them that are about $1 million right now. So this is definitely in our wheelhouse. Please remember that. And that we pride ourselves in our ability to make that personal connection and make this a good one-on-one personal experience. This project is about you. This is your community. This is your funding. You set the goals, you set the standards, and we're here as your servant leader to make sure that this happens and that it's a success for you. I guess with that, we'd love the opportunity. Fire away.
All right. We do have some questions for you.
All right. I have been told to read these. I've been asked to read them. Did you complete your previous CMA projects on time and under budget? And if not, what was the major cause of delay or added expense? And if that happened, what have you changed? How have you changed your practices as a result of that to make sure you can avoid that in either of those happening in the future?
Yeah. Yeah, fire away.
So my last project was elementary school in Plymouth. We actually had a 13-month construction schedule. We started a month late due to city permitting issues. There was some politics involved. There's some people that didn't want to see that project go. And we finished a month early. So we took a 13-month project and it went well. Finished it in 11 months with COVID. And COVID's thrown a large wrench into a lot of stuff. A lot of material delay, questions when all this started. We had to change. And we had wall tile coming from China. And it's like, well, that's not an option anymore. So, product changes to make sure we were sourcing stuff in the U.S. to make sure the project ended successfully. That wasn't my last project specifically.
Yeah, actually, I worked with Brennan on that one in the same capacity. So you guys have those on budget as well. As an example.
On any that you've done CMAR on, have there been times when you have not been on time or did you come in on time and under budget? And if not, what was the major cause of those delays? And have you changed practices as a result of those as well?
Actually, I'd like to take that one, if you don't mind, Jason. It's not complete yet, but as I said, I'm working on the Minnetonka Police and Fire Station project. That is a CMR project, and I had the pleasure of informing the owners on our weekly project update that while it's not being put in stone, we believe instead of turning the total facility over in September, we'll probably be done with the interiors in the Memorial Day, early June timeframe, and then finishing up the site work in the June-July frame. So we'll be turning that project over early. And as I said, that was from a scheduling standpoint, that one is going extremely well. And from a cost standpoint, again, CMR, there is a contingency, not only a project contingency, but also the contractor's contingency that we carry within our contract. But we're to a point now where, and that's transparent to the owner every time we do a pay application. The owner understands exactly where our contingency is internally within our contract. And we're at a point where we're working with them. They weren't able to accept the bid alternates for four-fold doors, which was very near and dear to the chief's heart. And so we're in the process in the next month or two of actually going to incorporate the increased cost for that, and we're going to take it out of our contingency on their behalf. So again, it is on a CMR basis, it's definitely open book. At the end of the day, whatever contingency is left, whether it's a project contingency or the contingency within our CMR contract, it goes back to you. So it's definitely your money. So I just want to make sure that that's understood by council. I'm not trying to sway you one way or another, CMA or CMR. I'm just letting you know that it's open book and it's transparent in either contracting method.
In the CMA model, after bids are gathered and the construction started, what role do you play in assisting the city with maintaining the timelines in the budget?
That's 100% responsibility. You get so used to it. I don't know what I'm going to do when I don't have to work. It's our responsibility. We set that up during pre-construction with the amount of planning that we're doing. To the extent, Dale and Brandon will be working on that schedule. We'll also be reaching out to the contractors to validate that those schedules work. One thing that we like to do related to schedule and making sure that they work and those lowest responsible bidders. So there's almost like this second or third round, if you call it that. We'll award the project. Those bidders will be reaching out to them and taking another, even more detailed review of that schedule and making sure that they can meet that and getting their commitments in and buy-in. And that has proven to be very valuable to make sure that it's not just us dictating a schedule, it's us working with them saying, yes, we can meet that schedule, we will meet that schedule.
How much interaction and reporting out to the city is there in the CMAR model?
How much reporting is there?
Yeah, and interaction with the city.
That's fine. I guess that's the short answer. It's the same. I don't really see a difference. We're meeting on a weekly, I'm gonna call it a regular basis. It could be weekly, bi-weekly, it could be monthly, whatever suits your needs. But we will be reviewing budget. At least for us, how we operate CMR, it is transparent. And, you know, we've heard tonight that there are contingencies that are carried, and you said it's accurate. At least is how we operate. Is that's 100% transparent. We'll see, you know, if we go that route, you would see every penny that is spent there. And anything that's not spent actually comes back. And so it's your money.
And I want to follow up on that, Jason. So again, with Minnetonka, we're meeting weekly with the owners and the design team, as well as with the contractors. In Burnsville, and that was a CMR, Burnsville CMA, and that team decided that every other week meeting with the core team, the fire chiefs and the design team is adequate for answering questions, going over budget, schedule, and just making sure that everybody's updated. On Burnsville, Ally is also providing, as one of the services, you saw the drone flights. We're actually doing that on both Minnetonka and Burnsville, but Burnsville's able to take that information and do construction updates monthly and add those drone flights to their city website where they've got a portal for the project. So.
We're looking at a USDA loan program for paying for the project, and does that change the model of delivery your firm would prefer, and if so, why? We like brevity.
Well, the only thing I would add to that is not knowing exactly on the federal program, but if there was state money involved, there might be some implications on before it goes out to bid as to whether or not there might be prevailing wage requirements or any other special reporting that would be needed. And we would like to understand that and put that in the bidding documents ahead of time so that we're not faced with surprises once we actually get into administering contracts. So.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. Do you have an approximate idea of how and when you would be able to start and how long this process would take to get through the different, some schematic design, and up to construction from what you have from us?
From where you're at today to
Yeah.
break ground,
Yeah.
is what you're asking. That schedule is not up to us. That design team is going to dictate, how quickly they're able to get through that design process. I can say that we will be with them and with you every step of the way, providing the feedback, not only with estimates, but with constructability and providing feedback to keep you on track in terms of budget.
Has Wendell given you a date of potential CD documents being prepared?
What do you say? CD, probably, we're taking a pause right now at SD. No, we haven't started SD.
Okay.
We're before that.
Conceptual.
We're at conceptual. And so we pause to do this and then go forward. So probably, what did he say, about a month?
Yeah.
About a month for schematic
Okay.
from now. How much input, if any, does the city have regarding subcontractor selection in either of the models?
CMA versus CMR.
Yep.
Both. Both of the models will need to go out for public bid. And so you're going to be subject to that public bid process, and whoever ends up being the lowest responsible bidder. Couple kind of tweaks on that will be is that if there's any specific preferred contractors that you may have that maybe we're not aware of, we'd like to reach out to them and make sure that they're invited and make sure we understand what their strengths are. So that's one. Two, there might be some opportunities to take a look at a best value approach to this project. And that's kind of a method where you might set up some scoring. You could do the whole project. It seems like often there's some of the major trades, such as working mechanical, electrical, that you might say, we're going to do these as a best value because they affect the critical path so much. In those, we would agree as a team on what that scoring parameters are, and we would go through that together, score them, and that may result in other than lowest bidder.
In your experience, how often do you utilize local subcontractors and material suppliers in these types of projects? And is there a difference under the CMA model versus the CMAR model for attracting good bids from local resources?
We try to use local participation as often as possible. I would say that that is always the goal. However, local doesn't always mean quality either. Completely frank about it. We've run into some instances where local contractors seem to think that they can take advantage of some relationships because they're from a certain place. And frankly, we don't allow that. And we would be going to bat for you all to make sure that that's not an issue in terms of quality, performance, and et cetera. So as often as possible, we're giving those contractors an opportunity to work on your projects and how we engage them. So there are a couple opportunities. A lot of it can be relationship based. I would argue that St. Cloud has got a very strong construction contractor marketplace up here, and we work with a ton of contractors up here. So we probably have a relationship with 8 out of 10 probably already. And so that's probably first and foremost. But the other opportunities would be to host I don't know what you might call it, but basically a meeting here where we could say, hey, if you're interested in this project, come on out. We'll talk about it. We'll help you understand how to bid this project. We'll understand what your strengths are. And there might be some opportunities where we can tailor some of those work scopes and parse out some work that really is focused on their strengths. They still have to bid it, they still have to be able to bond it and insure it. But yes, the opportunity will be there.
On your end also, you do have the availability to go for RFPs, for $175,000 or less, that may be able to target some local contractors through that aspect too.
I might be able to piggyback a little bit on that. Your local contractors, they generally have a little bit of an advantage because they don't have travel. In my experience looking at these projects, local generally is you're going to get it just by default. But like the team has said here, there are strategies we can do to try and boost that. So just keep that in mind that, it's not rocket science to get local participation. And we have controls in place to make sure that, we're getting the right bidders and we have the tools and the things that we need to reach out to them and really market your project directly to them. So.
And do you have any concerns about the project given, where we're at and what you know about the project?
I have one concern, and my concern is ultimately, you have an architect who's teaming with the construction manager. Typically, it's architect, construction manager, both looking out for you, your best interest and how you do that. As you go through this process, the EAI documents that they have, it's an architect and a construction manager. It kind of muddies the water, in my opinion, when you actually put together an architect and a construction manager teaming together. I look at potentials as you look at this. What if there is a major design issue or a major construction manager failure with regards to some sort? What does that bring? Will that transparency be there? So it's not a typical method that you see out there. Actually, you hardly ever see that. So that is one concern, just to make sure that you guys are looking out for your best interest on what that is. So that's see.
In terms of the project itself.
Yeah, project is confident. It's a wonderful project.
Anybody got any questions for Carl Anderson? Doug, do you?
I have none.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drive safe wherever you have to go.
Oh, Matt.
Oh, yeah, you
Wisconsin.
we did good.
Oh, are you okay?
I got 4 in the barn.
Yep.
I didn't want to see us.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Can you see Muller?
Like to adjourn this meeting?
Oh, wait, how can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys.
Hey, there's Doug again.
Okay, I had to fix the microphones.
Microphones were down for a minute, couple minutes there. It looked like you were wondering what was going on, Doug.
No, I could see the conversation between Bridget and Tri-City Cable through their messaging, so I knew what was going on.
It's past my bedtime. Nine
We'll just have
o'clock.
Jason sitting there. Yeah, okay. All right. We're back now, Fran.
And we're back. So we should be done with number 5 then, right?
Well, the question is,
Oh,
so
that's
as
right.
part of the RFPs and the information, they did give us each their bidding price or their fee structure for both kinds. They came sealed. I thought you'd probably want to digest this all. And so either at the next meeting, you determine who you want, and then what we do is we look at that fee, and if we can negotiate, if your first bidder is A, you look at the fees and determine if you can create a contract with them, and if not, then we go to the next, we open the next ones and go that way. So I don't know if you want to have a special meeting or just wait till the next meeting to make that decision.
Brand.
Mr. Mayor, should we have, this is really tight. I mean, should we have a workshop on it?
You could do that too.
Special, like a
And then
special
what I
meeting or something?
understand is, you guys have a committee already, a building committee? Shouldn't they sit on? Shouldn't we have a nice workshop and then discuss this?
We could, yeah. We should, I really think we should have at least a special meeting or a workshop and discuss this portion of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we should have a discussion. I don't necessarily think we need to have like 20 people there because it's not necessary. Someone just needs to make a decision. You know, it's gonna have to come down to people making a decision. And I think that, you know, it's gonna come down to us making that decision. You know, everyone's input is valuable, but at the same time, I don't need 30 people at a meeting.
The council and say the police chief and the fire chief.
That's acceptable.
Yeah. I would think that would be where we'd want to be with that.
But then did Chief Weber, did he hear all the,
Most of them, he had to get off for a fire chief's meeting and he came back.
okay.
So the date of that would need to be determined. What I can do is send out an email and we have to have a 3-day notice because I have to post it.
Yeah.
Unless you all know now what days you are available.
Like next week, you mean?
Yeah, probably next week,
almost
so that you can make the announcement at the 26th meeting.
Mhm.
Thursday next week.
Thursday.
The 21st?
Yeah.
Does that work for everyone?
That works for me.
What time?
9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, you guys, I have a job.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Some of you have to still work.
Yeah,
What time
At 5 o'clock worked for me.
What time can you make it, Shannon?
5:35.
5:30?
5:30?
I work till 5:30, so I'll be across the street or across the parking lot. So, yeah, I work till 5:30 that day. So
So if we do it at
5:30?
5:30?
5:35 is fine with me.
Okay,
Sounds good.
then I will make sure we get that posted and have that meeting.
Okay.
Workshop.
Bridget, what day is this? This is Dan. 21st?
21st at 5:35.
Okay. That'll work.
Thanks, everyone. I know I'm a pain in the butt.
Okay. Number 6, discussion of engineering firm submittals.
Well, at the last meeting in December, when we looked at the RFPs, you wanted to wait and figure out a date to have a discussion, a workshop also on the engineering, on whether to even interview or on who to interview. So maybe that could also be an agenda item next Thursday.
Again, on this one, I'm really torn because if I recall correctly, we actually only went out for these to confirm that we were still getting a competitive rate.
Correct.
It had nothing to do with the services that were being provided, had nothing to do with anything that Stantec was doing wrong, nothing. It was making sure we were still getting a competitive rate.
Correct.
If everyone looks at the rate, and the rates that I've seen, to me, I feel that we're getting a competitive rate. You know, so I
think
don't
so, too.
know that there's much of a discussion unless some people are seeing beyond what, or thinking beyond what I thought that we had gone out for in first place. So.
I think we are too. I think we're getting very competitive. I think we've got Stantec is really doing a good job with the city too yet. Unless somebody else disagrees.
So I think I would need someone to make a motion one way or other. One way to just continue with Stantec could be one motion, or another motion would be to review the firms and make a motion to actually interview people. So
I'll make a motion to continue with Stantec.
Okay, Gary makes a motion to continue with Stantec. Is there a second?
I'll second that based on just our discussion we just had. Yep.
Okay, Shannon seconds it. Is there any discussion on it? Otherwise, Gary,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries. Okay, number 7 is resolution number 2021-01, annual appointments. Before I read any recommendation, we've got to change a couple of them. Acting mayor was Jamie Knapp. I seen Doug expressed interest in it. Should we just put Doug in there? If that's okay with everybody?
Be my guess.
Fine with me.
you can uncross out Stantec.
Stantec
Are you
is
able
in
to
there.
uncross that?
I can uncross out Stantec.
And then, where are we here?
Planning had interviewed and recommended Tom LaCosta, so he's listed now instead of his term ending December 2020. He's now listed for 2023 when his
Okay.
term.
And Shannon wants to get out of that. I can do that for her. If that's right with everybody.
It's just not conducive with
Yeah.
my schedule. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yep. Her work schedule doesn't allow it.
I'm
So-
not as flexible.
No, and that's fine. We just have to have somebody there and
Yep,
that's,
no, I understand.
yep. And I can do that.
So-
And,
And
okay,
then-
what?
And then Heritage didn't meet mostly because of COVID and because we didn't have much to do, but we do need to have new
Members.
members. One is the two from the Historic Society. Need to, so that they both had their terms end. Well, one moved out of Cold Spring, so his term automatically ended. So we need to replace those two members. So there is going to have to be a meeting at some point this year.
Okay. And then EDA. Fran, you want to take?
Yeah, I'm
EDA?
experienced with EDA. If you want to put me there,
Okay,
you can.
Because Jamie was in there. And I'll be on that again.
And somebody will let me know what the schedule is then for EDA, like Like once a month, I
Once
guess?
a month.
Yeah.
The second Monday.
Second Monday at 4
Second
o'clock.
Monday.
Yeah.
And then I gotta take you off here.
And everything else looks okay?
Well, I see that Jamie also had the other tri-cable.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jamie had tri-cable.
Yeah.
Where is that?
It's on the
Oh,
front
up
page.
there. No. It's on the front page. Tri-City there. Okay. Fran, you want to do that too?
I did that before, but is there actually something going on?
Yeah, they're pretty active now.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, because I think Chris was on there too, right? Or is she still on there?
She staffs it.
Yeah. I just thought with the COVID and the way the school is set up, because that's where the meetings was at the school district meeting room, right? Yeah, so.
Yeah, we still are meeting there, you know, the last meeting, we were still there. I know we have a meeting, I believe it's set for next Wednesday, the 20th. And those start at 4 o'clock, but we are still going into school as of the last meeting. I'm not so sure about this one though.
Well, somebody let me know.
Yep, sure. And that should be it, huh?
Do you want to table approval of it till I make the changes till the next meeting? Or do you want to make approve the resolution with those changes under the recommendation, I suppose?
Approve them with the.
Is
with the
that
changes?
tri-cable still 2 from each community? Is that what that is? Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve right now, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're-
Subject to the corrections.
Yeah.
Okay. Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second. Oh, Doug, go ahead.
Doug seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, Gary,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries. Okay, number 8. Revolving loan fund application for Granite Community Bank. Jim. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hello.
Granite Community Bank has come to EDA for a revolving loan to help with the cost of demolition of the First National Bank. And then they have a very interested, I'm not sure where you're at in that process, Jim, person who's looking to buy that lot plus the 2 vacant lots to build a 3-story building. First floor would be commercial daycare, and the second 2 would be apartments.
Would you like information how far we are?
Yeah, if you could give a quick,
Overview.
yeah,
Absolutely. We are under purchase agreement. It is almost, the due diligence is almost completely settled. This revolving loan fund acceptance on your behalf or approval would be part of that due diligence. The purchaser is securing architects, general contractors right now. He's interviewing 3 of them. And we had a little discussion today that he's starting to get plans and a few costs in. We have gone through planning and zoning and got a special use permit for a C1 zone district to have a childcare facility in it. So this project is fairly well along in the process. So it's a real thing at this point.
all right. Should I read the resolution? Resolution to approve the application of Granite Community Bank for a loan from the revolving loan funds of $50,000. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Fran makes a motion. How about a second? Gary seconds it. Any discussion on it?
Looks like it should be a nice project.
EDA was Yeah, all in favor of it, so.
Should be a nice project.
Is there any other discussion on it? Otherwise, Gary,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries. There you go, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much. I believe it's a strong project for this community.
Yep.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much again. Have a good evening.
You too.
Yep. Number 9, Public Works Director Report. John Stevie.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
First and foremost, welcome Councilmember Ramler. Welcome back. First thing I got on my report tonight is the snowplow for the 1 ton. Central Hydraulics was the low bid, $79.44 and 46 cents. We did budget $8,200 for this item, so it's slightly under budget. You can see the breakdown in my report, 50% streets, 25% water, and 25% wastewater. So looking for approval to purchase that.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do we have a plow on that 3/4 ton also?
Yep, this is the second plow. We got a new 1 ton pickup this last fall with COVID and stuff, so.
Oh, okay, because I thought we had a plow for alleys on a 3/4. But this
Yep,
is
we got a plow. This is the second one, yep, for it's used for alleys, well houses, the field out at the well field now at the Fraley property. There's all kinds of uses for the plows on the pickup trucks.
Okay.
All right, recommendation to approve the purchase of a snowplow for the 1 ton from Central Hydraulics at a cost of $7,944.46, and furthermore to be paid out of the budget line item 6311, 50% from streets, 25% from water, and 25% from wastewater departments. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Doug makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second that.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, all those, Gary,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries.
All right, the next thing, if you guys remember, we talked about during the budget season, for whatever reason in the past, there was different tiers of maintenance worker. Not real sure how they ever came about, but the 3 full-time public works, street department staff I have, they all do the same stuff. The ones that are in the streets can do everything in the streets. There's no reason to have the different tier. So basically I want to do a lateral move for Paul Schreiber and John Atchison, who were originally in group 4, step 4, and they'll do a lateral move to group 5, step 4. The increase is $1 per hour. Just trying to clean up some stuff that was in the past that I don't foresee any reason moving forward why they need to have separate groups for that title.
Okay, recommendation to approve the change from group 4, step 4 to group 5, step 4 for Paul Schreiber and John Atchison. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
Fran seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, Gary,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yeah.
Fran,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries.
Thank you. The only updates I have, the water well field site. I was out there last week. There's a few more wires to hook up in the panel. IPS will be hooking that up over the course of the next 2 weeks with Design Electric. They met with the brewery to get the control panel hooked up inside the distribution center. Of course, eventually they'll hook up down in the main brew house as well downtown. So within 2 weeks, we should start seeing some action, and shortly thereafter, moving forward, we should be able to give them some water pretty soon. So CNL's been they flushed the line. They got another piece to flush yet. Outside of that, it's pretty close to ready to go. So, that's the only update I have unless you have any questions for me.
Anybody got anything for John?
Nothing.
Thank you very much, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Okay, number 10, city engineer report, Brian Lynchen. Hi, Brian.
Brian.
Hey guys, Mr. Mayor and Council, welcome, Fran.
Thank you.
Number one, just want to thank council and city staff for their full confidence in Stantec. It's truly a pleasure working with everyone in the city. Everyone is great to work with, and I'm looking forward to the years ahead. So thank you. Couple updates on our project here before I take this off. Really no updates on 158 Blue Heron in the winter here. John gave a pretty good update on the well project. There's a few more getting really close and getting all the wires hooked up, everything going there. Thinking probably it'll be looking like next week we'll get some of that flushing started. Bacteria testing, we have everything pressure tested, so getting really close to getting water to the brewery. So kind of got a couple more steps we got to work through. The treatment plant, water treatment plant, contractor is starting to provide us submittals, just working through some of the front end things. We'll be setting a pre-con here soon as well. So with an anticipation of a spring start.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so there, it's kind of, you know, in some ways it's kind of nice because we have this little bit of buffer in the front where they can really ramp up and get things ready, get things ordered, and then when the ground thaws, we can basically hit the ground running. So, sanitary and water improvements, just kind of working on wrapping up the design for that. I'll be working with city staff on the easements and some of the other things we need to get for that. So again, that's the dedicated sewer from both brewery locations to a central lift station, a new lift station, and then from that lift station to the future pre-treatment. So to note with this as well, you know, where the water, and it also has a water line component to it as well, bringing water from the new well field down to the downtown brewery facility.
Oh.
So looking at, you know, getting that construction this summer, we're going to be able to get that water hooked up and used right away. The sewer is an aspect that isn't necessarily going to be used right away because until that treatment plant is built, we really can't send anything that direction. So that'll be built in anticipation of it. So
this is the water treatment?
This is the wastewater pre-treatment. Yes.
The pre-treatment that the brewery does right now, they want us to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's taking that facility, essentially, it hasn't worked as it should in the past. And so building, the city would build and operate a facility to pre-treat that waste, that high sugar, high alcohol waste, knock it down to a domestic strength, and then it would go through the rest of the plant as normal. So, and then that leads to the industrial pre-treatment, submitted, end of last week, the conceptual design report to the city staff. So that's kind of look at it as like a 10% level of design, looking at the components that are going to go into it, some initial cost estimates, looking as well at the systems that we've been working through and how they're going to work together. So just really laying that groundwork for as the design moves forward. So that's all the updates I have right now. If there's any questions.
Anybody got anything?
You and John got any ideas what to do with further streets, or got other streets in mind to redo or resurface, or?
I think we've got a couple in the back of our minds. We haven't talked about it formally yet. But I think both John and I probably have some good ideas of what might be next. John, I don't know.
As far as city, yeah, as far as city streets, I think on the what we call the capital improvement plan, we have the area by the north of Winter's Bar, kind of going past, as well as going past the country store. A few, not the whole street itself. Some of it's a mill and overlay, some of it's infrastructure. We put together a study over the course of this last summer, what infrastructure needs to be replaced. some areas over there by Frogtown where the creek runs through. It's pretty rough. That's probably area number one. And being they would be a smaller project, we could maybe tie in with the 2nd Street North project over there west of Red River and 5th Avenue, kind of that area as well. So the nice part is it'd be a way smaller project than we've experienced over the last 5 years. Just with way less city blocks getting done. And then the majority of them being mill and overlays. So a lot less expensive as well.
What is this? What is this one over here? First Street South from Red River over to
Second.
Second.
By the park.
Huh? Yeah, all the way over to the park. Cause that I think this should be looked at too yet.
Yep, that's all tied in with the country store area that I'm talking about.
Okay.
And a lot of that's a mill and overlay.
Okay.
Just with all the other projects, don't forget the streets, John.
What's that?
Because of all the other projects and going on, don't forget about the streets, okay?
Yeah, we just thought we'd give the taxpayers a break in 2021. There's been a lot of street projects.
Yeah. There is, the other one is up toward Blue Heron Heights up that way too yet, right?
Oh, yeah.
Chapel.
Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill. That.
Chapel Hill,
Yeah.
Chapel Street there.
This is horrible.
Yep.
That whole road should be looked at too. Cause that intersection up there is, I drove up there and that's really bad.
Well, we talked about putting that intersection in the budget. Was it this year? And
Yeah.
we took it out, but we're gonna put it in there next year and partner up with the township on a mill and overlay through that intersection at least.
Yeah.
And you also have Rookery Drive up in there. There's more houses. We gotta have some other exits besides 3rd Street out. Are you thinking about that, you guys?
Yeah, it's been talked about. That's a tough one to
I know
tough
it
one to
is.
do. There's really only one way out there with the private road on the one side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've talked about the potential of on the west side of the trailer court
Yeah.
up there as well, connecting.
Yeah, because pretty soon there's going to be just, so keep that in mind, guys, okay?
Yeah, I think this spring will be a good time to have a capital improvement plan meeting with Bridget, myself, Brian, maybe Pete Weber, Jason Bloom, just different staff members, just to kind of put together go over our 5 and 10 and 15 and 20-year plan. Again, it'd be a good deal to annually review that.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
That's all I had.
Anybody got any other questions for Brian? Otherwise, we will move on to number 11, Police Department Report. Chief Bloom. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Try and keep this short and sweet.
All right.
I brought it up in December about the WatchGuard issue to bring Councilmember Ramler up to speed. WatchGuard is the audio and video that we run in our squad cars. We were notified, it was bought out by Motorola last June. We were notified in the end of November that the software that we're currently running is no longer going to be supported by them as of December 31st. So looking at what our options were, and there's basically two options. There's an on-site server and there's a cloud-based storage. The 5-year plan for the two of them is roughly $3,000 difference for the equipment we are currently running. The cloud base is a little bit more expensive, but it also offers better redundancy, storage, security, backup, that sort of thing. So over the 5 years, I think for what we're currently running is the better option of the two. And the startup cost for cloud base is $5,000, where the server that we'd have to upgrade would be just over $13,000. So the startup cost is smaller for the cloud-based option too. So I think right now that'd be the better option of the two to go for. The thing is, because we didn't know about it until November, it wasn't budgeted for. So our equipment line item might reflect that at the end of the year. So do you guys have questions on that?
And it's going to grow, that from there on, it's going to grow into other things. What is it going to grow into?
So easy, and down the road, it'll actually be easier for us to expand into if
when we go to body cameras. Right now, legislature has a committee that's reviewing if body cameras are a required or essential piece of equipment that we would use. Similar to our bulletproof vest, we would then get reimbursed for. So I'm waiting, that's supposed to, their findings are supposed to come out in June of 2022. And at that point, if there would be funding to be reimbursed, I would assume budget for 2023 to move to that or decide then on, where we sit with the funding. But it would be easier for us to, in the cloud version, I think it'd be easier for us to expand for that storage for more equipment.
Okay, so getting this, it'll be good stuff to help you guys later.
Yes.
Not the.
Yeah, and it's essential equipment for us. I mean, the in-squad video is very important to us. So I'd like to move sooner than later on updating everything.
Right, we have to do one or the other.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
All right, I'll read the recommendation. To approve the purchase of software and cloud storage for the WatchGuard system at a cost of $5,525, and furthermore to be paid the police department budget equipment line item 6311. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Shannon makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll make one if nobody else is going to.
Fran will have a second. Any discussion on this? Otherwise, Gary,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
and Doug.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. And then, we'll work with the county IT, our computer guys, and hopefully get that up and running as soon as possible.
Okay.
And then just some updates for the month of December. In Cold Spring, we had 236 total incidents, 30 medicals, 10 suspicious activities, 81 traffic stops with 33 citations, and 115 miscellaneous calls for service. And in Richmond, we had 88 total incidents, 8 medical emergencies, 8 suspicious activities, 32 traffic stops with 13 citations, and 40 miscellaneous calls for service. Outside of that, hoping for good weather, and that's all I have unless you guys have questions for me.
Anybody got anything for Jason? Please, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Number 12, city administrator report. City administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
It's getting way too late.
Yeah, I was
We
gonna
haven't
say,
had a meeting this late in a long time.
tying together.
Not to digress too much, but my first meeting ever, which Fran was at, went to 11:30. So hopefully
We are
Fran's
not
first
going-
one back isn't
We are
to
not
11:30.
going that long. I refuse.
So the first item on there is the interfund loan. When we budgeted to pay for the truck last year, we said we were going to start paying for it in 2021, which we are now. But we did not do the interfund loan at the time. We'll need that. So this resolution is for the remaining amount. We had a bunch of different dedicated funds for the total of 668, and this was what is left. And I'm asking for the resolution for that whole amount. The townships are reviewing options on how to pay their share of it, but they won't get that to me till they have their annual meeting. So this would be the most we would pay. It could be less on that interfund loan. So I have the resolution as total amount.
Their annual meeting is in March, so.
Right.
Okay. Recommendation to approve resolution 2021-02, a resolution approving of an interfund loan for $196,585.46. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Shannon seconded it. Shannon seconded it.
That's good.
Any discussion? Any discussion on it? Otherwise, Gary,
Yes.
Shannon,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries.
The second item, so the Rockville has been operating under an interim SIU, and they had a global understanding, as I was told, or they had an offer to Stickney in December. They do have their own private lawsuit against them that doesn't relate to us in this. And they had believed that they were going to say yes to that, is what my understanding was, but I have been informed they have not signed the SIU as Rockville thought they would, which was due on Sunday. And so it is now time to let Rockville know that they are in breach of their obligation to the city of Cold Spring. We are not in any breach with MPCA. But that does not mean we couldn't be in the future. And so we need to be very insistent with Rockville, which I hope will then make them insistent with, I believe they are moving their lawsuit further along now, that their settlement is probably very close to being done, and the court's going to now have to make a decision. So hopefully this will help Rockville get that SIU signed with court assistance.
That is still plaguing.
It is still plaguing.
It's from all those years yet. It just goes, yeah.
I don't know why it's so difficult. I have a feeling all the parties are paying way more money in legal fees than just paying whatever they owe each other and getting the agreement.
But I mean, even from the get-go, we had problems with them, with that Stickney cheese, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you just have us sitting over here going, da, 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 like.
An interim permit does qualify for now under MPCA. So
Until when?
Until we ask MPCA to give us authority to go do something about it.
Okay.
Or they will, and we don't want them to do it. So,
Well, right.
So we are still in good standing with MPCA.
Okay.
So this starts our discussion with Rockville much firmer than.
When do we find out that we're not within good standing? Like, when does that transition? Like, how do we all of a sudden notice that we're getting in trouble? Like, I don't know.
I think this prevents that from happening.
Okay, so.
Because we're taking our steps to make us comply with what we need to do under MPCA
So
rules.
by being proactive, we're
Correct.
making sure that they know that we are being proactive.
Correct.
Okay.
So
Bridget,
Yes, go ahead.
a follow-up to that. So if we end up having some fines or something, by going this route, does that put Rockville on the hook for our fines or Stickney?
This puts the remedies that we have available on, gives Rockville notice that we can pursue those remedies. So it would be a way for us to prevent getting that fine by requiring Rockville to be more authoritative with Stickney. So it's the start of all our options, but that could be one of the things that we pursue. We don't have a penalty yet, so this is our way to prevent it and to put Rockville on notice to get moving, or we renegotiate that. I mean, it could be that they are fully out of terms in that and we have to renegotiate their use.
Well, I would hope we have enough pressure on them that our taxpayers aren't on the hook for a fine down the road, because like Fran said, this has been going on for years. I mean, I know we had a meeting about this a couple months ago. They wanted a 20-day or 30-day extension. We said, no, we give them 10. Here we are 2 months later, we're still doing it. Just so that our taxpayers don't get nailed with a fine or penalty, and we have nothing to go back after Rockville and get it back. Because I mean, sooner or later, they either got to get it done, or like you said, maybe we need to renegotiate the whole contract.
Right. And that's what this is the start of that. This is we will move forward from here with them. And I'll have to do some investigating on how we pursue that, since we have shared counsel.
Is there any?
So, and we'd have league too. So I have to figure out how we pursue it under league, city to city legal action.
So I was just curious. So is there any way maybe in the notice to put, to make a notification that if indeed the city of Cold Spring is fined, that these fines will be
we'll pursue
toward, yeah.
I think
maybe just to put that in there starting immediately. so that, and maybe that will make them move forward a little bit more. I don't know, but at least we're saying, okay, if we are gonna get fined, we're putting it on you guys.
Yep.
So,
The agreement that was written however many years ago talks about holding each other harmless for use and maintenance. It doesn't discuss holding each other harmless for either party's failure to maintain that permit or, you know, the MPCA.
yeah.
So I have to look into that too. So I will put that in there, but that is going to be one of the issues I have to discuss with.
Pretty soon we just gotta stop talking about it and do something.
Right. And that's what we're doing.
All right, I'll read that recommendation then. To authorize the city administrator to notify the city of Rockville of its breach of obligation. And you want to add the,
Notice that if any MPCA violation is
yeah,
levied on Cold Spring, we will pursue
we will
Rockville indemnification or,
advance it to.
yep.
Rockville. Send it down the river. Okay, I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Shannon makes a motion. I need a second.
I will.
Fran seconds it. Any other discussion on it? Otherwise, Gary?
Yeah.
Shannon?
Yes.
Fran? Doug?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries. Anything else?
Yeah, one more thing. At the last meeting, the escrow, we were going to
Oh.
put together an escrow committee, and I think one or two council members to sit with me to meet with the people that live in around the brewery's warehouse to work with mitigation with that 40,000 escrow. I know,
I said I would.
and I don't know if it needs more than one. It's up to all of you.
I
So-
can if somebody else wants to.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was gonna give, do you know what, I thought I'd give you, so the warehouse up there that the brewery built,
Yeah, because I'm not aware of what, because those people that just,
Yeah.
the last meeting is the bright lights for one.
the
thing.
lights and some of that, they put a $40,000 escrow account that they deposited with the city to help mitigate
Okay.
any potential site issue.
But you guys know about it, so I'll stay out.
We're just trying to get you a heads up on.
But I mean,
what's
I
going
won't go
on.
because
Yeah,
I won't know what it's talking about. Shit.
no, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah, then me and Doug will do that.
Okay, I'll get some dates together for the
yeah.
two of you.
Yeah. That's it?
That's it.
All right. Number 13, list of bills and additions. Recommendation to review and accept payment of the accounts payable according to the list and supplemental list presented by city staff. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion.
Gary makes a motion. How about a second?
I'll second that.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, I'll, Gary,
Yeah.
Shannon,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries. Number 14, general questions and comments from city council. Doug,
I have nothing.
Fran,
I am going to have rotor cup surgery on the 25th, so the 26th, I won't be able.
you
to
won't
make-
be around?
Right,
Okay.
yes,
You'll be disabled?
yeah,
All right.
or part of me.
Shannon,
It's past my bedtime.
okay. Gary, nothing. I have nothing either. Number 15, motion to adjourn. Shannon makes a motion. Gary seconds it. Gary,
Yeah.
Shannon,
Yes.
Fran, Doug,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I'm a yes. Motion carries. Thank you guys very much. Good night.
Good night.